Welcome to beautiful Perth for the elimination final between the West Coast Eagles and the North Melbourne Kangaroos. The banner is up. The Roos not too far away from making their way out onto the playing arena. Corbin Middlemass with you, along with Dan Lonigan in commentary this afternoon at Subi. Our two experts on Grandstand AFL, Ken Judge and David Parkin. They know all about this time of year. And here come North Melbourne, led out by their captain David Swallow. Made his debut on this ground against Fremantle back in 2006. And North Melbourne have played in just two final series since then. Their last final coming back in 2008. They've had a superb second half to the season. They tailed off in the past 2 weeks. They'll have to refine some of their best form today against the West Coast Eagles, who have been up and about all year long, despite what has been a massive injury list for them. We're still awaiting the West Coast Eagles' arrival on Subiaco Oval. And as I mentioned, both teams coming into this afternoon's contest as selected. Now, the Eagles, of course, they know all about September. Premiers back in 2006, grand finalists in 2005. They got the double chance in 07, but went out in straight sets, and last year returned to the top four. They haven't played in an elimination final, though, since 2004, and haven't won a cutthroat final in the first week of September, dating back to 1993. Ironically, against North Melbourne on that occasion, the only previous time that these two teams have met in the final series, it was West Coast by 51 points that day. And, of course, the Eagles went on to lose in the prelim. Ken Judge and David Parkin, we're not too far away from the Roos and the Eagles. What are you looking forward to, or what are you expecting this afternoon?
Oh, look, I'm David. Great to be working with you, Dave. As I mentioned earlier, we've just picked up some new guests from around Australia. But I really believe that West Coast are near uncertainties in this particular game. I mean, I think that their style of play, which they built their game around their press, their defensive press. They put serious pressure on the opposition when they've got the ball, and the fact that North are a possession side and handle it lots, that gives you a chance for your press to really come into play, into action, and put the opposition under serious pressure. So I think West Coast can dismantle their game plan here today, against North. I think if they can get first use of the ball, which I think is a real advantage to them as well, and I think it will happen with Cox and Nat and Nui versus Goldstein, so I think they can take a distinct advantage there. They don't lose very often at home, West Coast, in the last couple of years. They tend to win big games here at home. This is the toughest road trip in Australia, without doubt. North are coming here. I don't know where North are at, because my concern with North is that when they won their game 3 weeks ago against Collingwood and ensured they'd play in the finals, I don't believe they play with anywhere near the same kind of passion or intensity in the next couple of weeks. Whether they can reproduce that today, I don't think it's as easy as switching the tap on and off. I don't know that's possible to do that. So there's a real challenge for North here today, and that these conditions will suit North's footy if they can get possession and get space, because it's a great day. It's a fantastic day for football. It's the old story. There's no excuses today playing in these conditions. So big challenge for North playing here, but I think West Coast will have too much for them today, and I think they might win comfortably, David.
I have no argument with that. The history says I think it's 2 out of 13 that North have been able to take West Coast. At least the last 5, the average difference, Ken, has only been 14 points. So while I'm agreeing with you, I hope that we have a game that stays within touch. I hate these one-sided events where people have high expectation. I guess the crowd's 90%, probably more, West Coast Eagles supporter. They won't care at all if they win by 30 goals, but as a sort of a semi-unbiased watcher, we'd like to see a game. It's really interesting, the major inputs which this year have been rating at 96%. If you can win the contested ball, you're more efficient in disposal, and you chase and tackle more, you win 96% of the time. The interesting thing is that West Coast, as we suggested before, contested ball, Ken, is what's the best in the league, and well ahead of North Melbourne. But in terms of disposal efficiency, actually North Melbourne just lead West Coast, and in tackling they're just ahead in their defensive, and at least in their chase down. They're athletically very good. If they allow them, if they're not G'd, and that can't happen, you wouldn't think what Fremantle were able to do Geelong last night. They won a game in about 15 minutes of saying, you are not going to get the ball because we're going to get it first, and if you do get it, we're not going to give you any time and space to use it. And they were demoralised by quarter time. Now, they fought their way back in a sense, but were never going to win the game because of what happened in the first 15 minutes. I would suggest, Ken, that they'll be on the edge today, and that will happen.
Yeah, and believe in the 2 games that were played yesterday, Sydney made a statement early in that game against Adelaide, and Adelaide never got back into the game.
Same thing.
And Fremantle issued a statement to Geelong early in that game, and they couldn't get back in the game either. So you can actually, we could very well see early in this game, if North are on, you'd expect them to start with a bit of a rush. And the other thing, the reason why you do is we know if there is 90 to 95% of the crowd are supporting the opposition, you're playing away from home, you want to take the crowd factor out of the game. So by getting scoreboard pressure on, by getting score on the board, that eliminates that factor, that fear factor.
It won't eliminate the fear, but certainly will reduce it, won't it?
Yeah, it does. So I think from a North point of view, I'll really be interested to see if they are able to switch on to that passion and intensity of 4 weeks ago. We'll notice it in the first 10 minutes of this game.
And I reckon 2 of the people that have come back in, and let's hope that they're fit and well. From North Melbourne's point of view, Wells has been an unbelievably good player. He's gone to a new level in 2012 that I thought he'd never reach. And Grimer really at centre half back has been a terrific player. Not as good as the bloke at fullback, but he's been very, very effective. And with those 2 playing at their level, it will give them a bit more armoury to win the war.
Yes,
but
I agree.
You think all over the ground, not just the ruckman, but the midfield group that support them are fantastic. They've got key marking forwards on a day which is almost perfect for that. And with McKenzie back at centre half back, he plus the captain at full back, there's not too much wrong with the structure or the method that this team brings. So North are going to have to be at their best individually and collectively to get, I would have thought, between 4 and 5 goals from West Coast.
Ken Judge and David Parkin with their preview of this afternoon's action. A few clouds starting to form, but a perfect day for footy here at Subiaco Oval today. The flags indicating a slight breeze. And we're a couple of minutes away from the national anthem. Craig Willis is here. Judgy has a nice job. Craig just
got the best job in football.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's had it for a long time, so he must be doing the right thing.
Gets to travel around the country and just say, ladies and gentlemen.
Where was the game he went to? Was it last year when he came and the microphone wasn't working? So they brought him. Was here, I reckon. And he went to get up and speak, and the microphone wasn't working. He had the best trip of all time.
The Carlton West Coast game last year.
Microphone didn't work.
Oh, he was here for that. I remember it. I remember that game.
He got stuck on the tarmac too one year.
That's right.
For a final, and it didn't happen.
That's right. Yeah. Jeez, so the wheels just halt. If Craig can't be there to announce it, that's it. It doesn't start. We don't start until he gets here.
David, throughout the preview, we've spoken about the elimination final for the West Coast Eagles. They haven't played in one since 2004, but know all about September. Is it changed at all? Is there a heightened level of intensity in the first week than there would be if it's a qualifying final, or how does it differ in a player's mind or a coach's mind?
I think there is when I can't remember back to those, but when your life's on the line, there is an extra pressure on every individual who goes out there, thinks that anything they do, any stuff up that they cause or manufacture, puts a heat on everybody. So no, don't worry. This is a group of 8 teams that we've had make a finals, probably the most even group that I can remember. That's a big statement to make, but I can't remember so many good teams in the bottom 4 of the 8 that could go on and maybe win a premiership. So that the standard's been higher, the expectations higher, the pressure on players is higher. I'm glad I'm sitting behind the glass, Ken, in the best seat in the house, and sitting with some friends and watching the game we love. But I wouldn't like to be out there. I sat on the ground level the other night at Etihad Stadium. I winced with the forces that were being applied. The hits and the sound is so much more ferocious and harder than it has been at any stage in these players' lives.
Because the other thing is, footy nowadays, they're trained like athletes. And I know that sounds silly. People think they're athletes, aren't they? They are, but they're actually trained, so they're very powerful through their core, through their backside, through their thighs, through their stomach. So their power they generate is just enormous. So the body clashes, and we've watched stuff from years and years ago, the bodies were hard in those days, but these blokes are power athletes now, really powerful.
And that's why we're getting the injuries.
That's right.
The collision type injuries. I think there's going to be a change, Ken. The discussion I've been involved in at the AFL says that this 8, 9, 10, 12 second rolling more where they're wrestling, etc., for no purpose at all. It's killing the inside midfielders, going to reduce their careers. They can't train from one game, then it's just recover. So they're going to blow the whistle faster and throw it up.
Good. I'm glad. I think that's a great...
I'm putting the public press on to make sure it happens. I'm glad you're with me.
We'll go down to Craig Willis, the Master of Ceremonies.
Here at Patterson Stadium. Would you now please join with the coaches, players and umpires for the Australian National Anthem.
one of the great things in footy, the roar after the national anthem for a final, and a cutthroat final at that today between the West Coast Eagles and North Melbourne. The Eagles in the final series finishing in 5th spot, just a game outside the top 4. And they host the Roos here today, who have been a little underwhelming in their final 2 games after a ferocious back end to the season. Let's see what the conditions are like downstairs. Dave Lindsay is on the boundary.
Thanks, Corbin. Tremendous roar with that national anthem. It's just been very quiet down here, and once the national anthem finished, I think the Eagles fans are ready to go now. There's about 38,000 fans in here, and predominantly all West Coast fans. It's pretty hot down here as well. Scattered clouds providing a bit of relief every now and again, but a bit of a blustery breeze blowing mainly across the ground. The benches for both sides, Gaff, Hill and Butler for West Coast to start on the Pine, alongside Jacob Brennan, who's the sub, and then for North Melbourne, Ryan Bastanak, Liam Anthony, Sam Gibson, and also their sub is Kieran Harper. Have a good call, boys.
Can I just make it interesting where football has gone? There were 22 players plus the coach lined up on the ground to take the national anthem. Both sides on the sideline in their gear, lined up facing out. 22 support staff. So for everybody running around today, we've got running behind me saying, how can we help you? That's not bad, is it? There'd be no other game in the world that would have that kind of support system in place. So don't think the players aren't well looked after, because they are.
They sure are. And they'll need to be well looked after today in the heat.
Yeah, they'll need a bit of water out there today, because this is... and look, I know we say it's going to be tough for North. We haven't had weather like this in Perth recently, so West Coast is going to be foreign to West Coast as well.
Nick Natanui was on the front page of the paper on Wednesday, holding a handful of hail
out on his front lawn.
So that's the preparation that the Eagles have had this week.
It's been that wet, has it?
Oh, yeah.
Front page of the paper, Nick Natanui.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was really wet.
That's all right. We had that every third day in Melbourne. We just had
you have that every couple of hours in Melbourne.
It's been cold. It hasn't been that wet. It's been cold.
That's the old saying, is that you don't like the weather, just wait. Just wait for a quarter of an hour and you'll get the 4 seasons in one day. So,
Andrew Swallow has won the toss and he'll be kicking towards the 3-tier end of the ground here at Subiaco Oval, the western end. The Eagles in their home strip today, the navy blue with the white and gold columns, and North Melbourne in their traditional vertical stripes.
Ken, you know this ground well better than I do. In terms of flags and direction and the support of the grandstand, that 3-tier grandstand,
not much.
Scoreboard either end.
Not much. Doesn't have much impact at all, that.
So as selected, both sides, Harper the sub for North Melbourne and Brennan in green for the West Coast Eagles. The winner, they will go through and play Collingwood next Saturday night in the semi-final. We now know that it will be Adelaide and Fremantle on Friday night, and the week off for Sydney and Hawthorn as they prepare for the preliminary final. For the loser, that'll be it in season 2012. A tough ask for Goldstein today, and he goes in the middle of the ground alongside Nick Natanui, who will start in the ruck. Dean Cox in his 250th game. And here we go, the elimination final. The spot with Collingwood next week awaits. Dan Lonigan on Grandstand AFL.
Massive roar at Subiaco Oval. Bounce in the middle's a good one. Goldstein beaten by Natanui. Zeeble knocks it out. Wright gets a hand pass out in the direction of Swallow. He's wrapped up in a gang tackle applied on him by the West Coast Eagles. And there'll be a bounce. Eagles to the city end in the opening term. Number of players milling around the footy. Attacking edge centre square for West Coast. Natanui the tap. Pritis lays a tackle. I thought might have been a bit high. And the umpire says give it to me. Too. Donlan, McBurney and Jeffrey in charge today, the men in green.
Good player, Swallow. She's a hard nut.
Averaging 25 possessions a game this year, Andrew Swallow. Goldstein. Natanui leans in, beats him, running onto it, Embley. Embley's inside 50, tackled late by Swallow. He got boots the ball, but after it already dropped it. Free kick to the North Melbourne team. Great tackle by Andrew Swallow.
Umpire in charge missed it, and the umpire at the bottom end saw it.
Don't know how he missed it.
I don't know how he missed it either.
So Swallow kicks down the broadcast wing. Tarrant the target. Big punch coming from the back by Schofield. Knocked out towards McMillan for the Roos. His hand pass back up towards the logo. Here's Zeeble. He's tackled. Taken high.
He drilled him. Zeeble knew he was going to show. He drilled him with the ball. Not a decision.
A couple of lean weeks, Zeeble, after a big return against the Pies. Back from suspension across the ground to Harvey. Short kick finds Wells inside 50. And Daniel Wells, returning from a calf injury, missed the past 3 weeks. Will have a set shot here 45-degree angle from about 45 out, and a chance to put the Roos on the board first.
Well, that's what West Coast got to try and stop.
The spread,
that spread like that, with the leg speed of Harvey, who is no slower now than he was when he was 21, and out to a bloke like Wells, who's equally as quick.
One of only 8 North Melbourne players to have played in a final previously. His kick is a little narrow, missing to the near side. A behind for Wells. North Melbourne on the board first, 2 minutes in at Subi.
Our listeners will be sick of me saying it, but they're costly. Should have kicked that. A straightforward shot at goal to get some scoreboard pressure on early. A failure from Wells.
So Hearn back into plays a thumping kick to the outer side. Natanui direction off hands. Embley tackled by Goldstein and McMillan of the Roos. They hold him up at half back. There'll be a bounce.
I mean, that's double impact, David, when you play away from home. Yeah. Got a chance to score first in a final. Just a good team builder if you could pull that off.
Absolutely. Mackenzie's got Petrie, which is an interesting matchup.
Hansen goes up, but running onto it, Prittis around the outer side, feeds a hand pass wide to Adam Selwood. Handball's in front along the turf, and it's taken over the boundary by McGinnity. Playing a defensive forward role in recent times. There'll be a boundary throw-in on that outer side.
Scott Selwood's running with Swallow. And Adam Selwood's got Harvey.
Third man up from Hanson. We may say that a bit this afternoon. Bastanak got a hand pass away quickly to Harvey. His kick out of bounds, touched off the boot though, and it'll be a boundary throw-in in between wing and half forward for North Melbourne.
Good call, Corbin, because that's one way they can overcome the boundary throw-in advantage by having a third man up.
David Parkin and Ken Judge this afternoon at Serby. Natanui wins the tap, follows his own ball. Hand pass away to Scott Selwood, forward to Darling. Runs beyond the wing for West Coast. Kicks inside the attack in 50. Kennedy running back. With him is Grimer on his return. The 2 number 17s. Grimer can't take possession. Fumbles the ball over the line. A behind for West Coast. One behind apiece. 3.5 minutes into the opening term.
North back into play straight away. And the kick in the direction close to the boundary for Gibson. He handballs now to Thomas in front of our commentary position. Just gets out of a Waters tackle. And he was held for a long, long time. Spun around in an arc, but he managed to eventually see it over the boundary, although the Eagle supporters baying for blood for deliberate. Back into play. In front, Cox got his hands free. Swallow though at the 4. Hand pass no good. Intercepted by Natanui. By hand to Cox. In turn forward to Prittis. On the left. Inside 50. No mark taken. Good play by Kennedy after dropping the mark to get the hand pass out. Taken by Hill. And Josh Hill, the ex-Bulldog, kicks wildly. And out of bounds on the full right across the base at the city end. It's the Eagles are behind. North Melbourne are behind on Grandstand AFL.
A terrible shot to finish, wasn't it? Because was he trying to put it in space for a teammate who wasn't there, and he missed the goal by 7 or 8 metres.
So the kick in, out towards half-back. Hansen went the punch in the end. Spills down to Darling. Hooks the kick across the body. Down by the ankles of Siebel. Gathers for North Melbourne. Hand pass away to Goldstein. Just jams it on the boot. Up towards the wing. Mark taken by Hansen, getting across in front. Much talked about during the week after subbed out with blurred vision against the Giants. Down to half forward looking for Thomas. Edged underneath the footy by Butler. First man back for West Coast. He spins into a bit of space. Stops on the spot and kicks short to Scott Selwood. Makes a good mark with pressure from Gibson. Selwood goes across the half-back line. Dangerous kick. Petrie spoils the mark away from Mackenzie. Ball out of bounds. Half forward will have a throw-in for North Melbourne. One behind apiece. 5.5 minutes in.
Bit too much hang time there from Selwood. Sat it up. It gave Petrie access to be able to spoil that.
Back into play. North on attacking 50 at the Subiaco end. Good roving Campbell by hand to McMillan. Swallow gets out of a tackle. Quick give to McMillan. Throws it on the boot. Kicks inside 50 but Glass. He easily outmarks Tarrant. Feeds by hand to Butler. Butler chips over the top now to the running gaff. Marking it centre half back. Delivers West Coast to the outer wing. Running for him Adam Selwood. Takes the mark. Will feed inside now to Marston. Marston kicks West Coast towards half forward. Josh Kennedy and Grimer getting a bad bounce. Josh Kennedy. He runs back onto it. Here's a chance now for West Coast. He can steady on the left from 45. Awkward looking kick. Doesn't quite come back enough. Heading right the whole way. West Coast second behind. North Melbourne one behind on Grandstand AFL in the opening quarter.
Well, what he showed there, I think what everybody wanted to see was some agility in difficult circumstances. The ankle stood up extremely well.
Yep. And he actually had time to balance up there. He could have nearly finished that if he'd realised he had a fraction more time.
Thompson, long kick towards half-back for North Melbourne. Mackenzie went the punch over the back of Hanson. Spills down towards Shuey for the Eagles. They're going forward again. Darling out on the lead. Takes the mark 5 metres in from the boundary line. Kennedy calling for it in the left forward pocket. He'll just put it up to the hot spot. Ugly looking kick. Bouncing ball needs to be kind for West Coast. Goldstein sees it through for another behind. The Eagles have 3 of them. North Melbourne 1 behind. 7 minutes into the opening term at Subiaco.
Peppering away the Eagles as Wright kicks long, straight down the middle. Glass gets a hand on it, spills to the back. Taken for North Melbourne. It's kicked towards the wing by Daniel Wells. A worried kick, a hurried kick and a worrying sort of kick. A chance now for Mackenzie to run onto it. Petrie wanted it more. Offloads a hand pass to Anthony. Kicks inside, attacking 50. Foot race for Thomas. Gets away from Hearn. Taps towards Tarrant. Doesn't sit for him at the top of the goal square. 20 out for the Eagles' defensive goal, and Scott Selwood wins it. Pounces on it. Handballs to Cox. Good defence from the Eagles. Heads to the outer side. Andrew Gapp has got acreage out there. He loves to run, the youngster from Carey Grammar in Melbourne. 3 bounces now for Andrew Gaff. He's had a 4th now. Keep going, son. Feeds a hand pass inside to Prentice. Now to Lynch. Wrong option. Fends off a tackle. Swings around on the right. Big Q Lynch. Has it got the carry? There's a mark in the square. Josh Hill floats across and takes the mark. Chance to kick, and will kick West Coast first at the city end.
Well, it was a good play there by Lynch in the end. He was under the pump, just too physically strong.
Hill kicks his 34th goal of the season.
Well, the North player had to sit on him when he took possession of the ball, Lynch, and just his size, he was much bigger size than his North Melbourne opponent. He just shoved him off, got the quick kick in, and Hill, whose form, I reckon, in the last third of the season's only been average, needs to stand up and play a game here for West Coast today, because his form earlier in the year was one of the reasons why West Coast have been able to cover for Lacroix and all these types who have been out. And company. And he hasn't been producing often enough in recent times. That's a good start for him and a confidence booster.
And it came off a fantastic defensive effort down here, because it was 2 versus 1 against West Coast. A hit into the corridor. I think Hanson it was who mucked it up in the finish. And from that, they changed direction and kicked a goal directly from it. Fantastic bit of full ground footy.
9 minutes in the quarter. West Coast 1-3-9. North are behind.
Goldstein wins the tap. Cox, though, follows up for the Eagles. First hand pass out of the centre, away towards Butler. Now Gaff on to Scott Selwood. Finds Kerr on the logo of the outer wing. Has a bounce. A second now as he works his way down the other side. Hooks the kick, back inboard. Here's Cox in game number 250. So North with the first score. It's been all West Coast since. He kicks deep inside the forward pocket, and Darling gets free. Takes the mark uncontested, right in front of the Eagles race.
He's been lively, Darling, so far. He's his 3rd mark and his 4th possession.
And the possession running at 82% versus 70 at North Melbourne.
Disposal efficiency.
Efficiency has been unbelievable. That kick by Cox was absolutely delightful. And you're right, Darling's been the up-and-going player. He's been the live wire amongst all players.
The Eagles players, they really miss in front of their race. Darling's kicked a goal in each of his past 25 games. You can make that 26. Back-to-back goals for the Eagles. And they're on top early after 10 minutes. West Coast 2-3. North Melbourne 1 behind at Subiaco.
Well, that's a concern for North, a start like that. I mean, 2-3, okay, it's only 2 goals, but West Coast look to me like they're up and going. And North, to me, are not being able to stop the West Coast run and go at the moment. So they've got a challenge in front of them, North. And I know we're only 10 minutes in, but just some signs start to come through. And West Coast, to me, look like they're on. North need a lift.
And Ken, it's offensively done too.
Yep.
I mean, it's not based on a total shutdown plan. They're playing better offensive football. Hand and foot movement, selection of options been fabulous.
Sure has. They deserve their 14-point break, the West Coast. Oh, Natanui gets up a mile. Pritters couldn't take it. Getting the kick smothered. Cunnington slips to Natanui. Adam Selwood avoids the tackle. Took one high. Then he gets up and kicks on the left inside 50. Running into space with the flight, with players coming the other way. Excellent mark taken by Embley.
How's he beat Ken? And his comeback has it been?
Well, he's come back. I reckon he's just got a little bit better each week. He had 2 games at Waffle level, and they brought him back in. And today he looks like he's up and going, because he started well. He's covering plenty of ground so far, because he's been down here at one stage and he contested a ball on the other half-back flank, diving the opposite half-back flank. So he's up and going, Embley.
Slightly left of centre half forward. To the city end for the Eagles. Third goal in as many minutes. Embley's kick, he's pulled that very left. In fact, it's missed everything. Poor effort in the end. The lead's still 14 points for the home team here at Subiaco Oval.
It looked like he was out of his zone and he tried to hammer his technique on the reach. Yeah, you should know at that age, shouldn't you? Yes. What you should be doing.
The hamstrings get a bit shorter as you get older.
That's true.
Ferrito, long kick out towards half-back, going up Petrie, but Natanui marks in front, lays it off to Embley once more, kicks long to the goal line. That's a massive route. A huge kick from Andrew Embley. They've got the first three in the elimination final. And it's starting to get out of hand early for North. 3-3 West Coast. North Melbourne one behind. 12 minutes into the opening term.
Maybe those hamstrings are a bit longer than I thought.
I'm going to say, he didn't have to think about it, Ken.
No,
and, and it went significantly further, didn't it?
Absolutely.
He was on the run. Now, is he actually coming off half back?
Well, I reckon he is.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, well, I've read that wrong because I thought he was on the wing. Then I thought he was half forward. Then I thought he was on the ball. But he's actually he's the running and carrying half back flanker at the moment. I was just trying to work out who's coming off.
I tell you what, he's playing as a loose man because they've got McMahon playing loose back here for North.
Yes, well, he's
now, whether that's happened now because of the 3 goals or whether that's...
No, he's coming. Now he's coming back round to make up the number.
Natanui gets up a mile again. Adam Selwood doing well at the centre. Handballs to Kerr, has a fumble, but gets it back to Glass. Intercepted though by Tarrant. Shakes a tackle. Kicks North on the left. Inside 50. No mark taken. Waters is there. Butler taken off the footy. Wells picks up a loose ball. He shakes the tackle. Is going to be a free kick though. The tackle lingered for a while. And Sam Butler, one of 8 players who played in the Eagles premiership team of 2006 with the free kick in the back pocket. Had a lot of injuries over the years. Kicks it high towards the half-back flank on the outer side of Natanui. Easily outmarks Petrie. Quick give to Kerr. Cruising now to Darling. So much space. Takes a great mark outstretch. Has a couple of bounces. 40 metres out. Closing to 30 for another one. Brilliant play by Jack Darling. How did he get through so late in the national draft? He's got a couple. 49 for the season, and the Eagles are 4-3-27. North are 1 behind on grandstand AFL.
I mean, that was just the result of a free kick down here, but the rebound was fantastic. I can't understand how Darling can get that far clear when your sides won a possession down here and they had time to man up because Wells had the ball, had to give it back. Darling to get that clear is ridiculous, really, that he's got that far away from his man. The concern for North is we're 14 minutes in, they've kicked 4 goals, 3 7 shots and 2 out in the full. So they've had 9 scoring shots in 14 minutes.
Inside 50, 10-4.
10-4, yeah.
And it's Ferrito. I know where Ferrito was.
Yeah,
Ferrito's a rebounding half back, but you can't do that.
And Bob McBurney with the cap on today. Restarts play. Natanui had a big fresh air shot in the middle. Bastanak jammed it on the boot, went a couple of metres along the ground. Here's Petrie. Likewise, breaks free of the tackle. Just got boot to ball. Swallows hand pass, made it tough for Bastanak. It's a free kick here. It's coming back to Swallow.
His handle, I think, after he got rid of the ball.
Kick against Scott Selwood. So Swallow down towards half forward. They need to get something working for them, the Roos. The Waters went the punch. Now Shuey, just inside the paint, was pushed in the back. Has it at half back for West Coast. First final series last year, and his 4th final now. The West Coast Eagles just well on top in finals experience. Waters in the back pocket to Hearn at the top of the defensive goal square. Now out to Schofield. He can kick short to Scott Selwood. All getting a touch of it. Hand pass makes it difficult for Gaff. He's tackled by Thomas. Dispossessed. Swallow for the Roos. Hand pass over to Zeeble. Breaks his way through a couple. Gave it back to Thomas. His hand pass finds Swallow. Kicks inside the attacking 50 and Hearn in front. Takes the mark for the Eagles. About 20 out from their defensive goal.
And they'll bring it to the outer side. Mark taken by Glass at half back. He'll look to draw a man and feed wide by hand to Embley. Embley now pops in short again, leading for him Marston. Been very good this year, played every game, kicks quickly off the step, wide, bit wide for Josh Hill. McMillan's with him, Hill plays it in front, turns McMillan inside out, didn't take the footy with him, footed away by McMillan, pouncing on it now, Nick Natanui, had a fumble, then he beats a couple, throws it on the boot, kicks into the pocket, it'll be a mark. They can do no wrong.
Is that McKenzie?
And the mark's been taken down there by Eric McKenzie.
What's he doing down there?
Good question.
Now, Mackenzie has played more games.
And he was standing down there. He didn't run in there.
He just wants to get into a bit of the fun. He says,
Exactly.
well, it's going to end up, don't worry about the other end, I'll just come down there.
He's played more games than anyone else in the AFL at the moment without kicking a goal, Eric Mackenzie. In his 78th game, yet to kick one.
He's on a very acute angle. He's close in, though. Oh! If Eric Mackenzie's kicking goals, gentlemen, you're in for a big day. There's his first goal in league footy. And the West Coast Eagles blowing North Melbourne away in the first 17 minutes of the elimination final at a warm Subiaco Oval. 5-3-33, North Melbourne, one behind.
Well, as I said, he was standing there. He didn't run in there. He was actually standing there when the ball came in. So where's his opponent? It had to be Hansen or someone that was playing on him, or Petrie, wasn't it?
Or the confidence that you've got in the players ahead of you, that you can make a decision like that and not be caught out. And let's not say that North haven't come to play or anything like that. They're out here doing their absolute best. They can't get access to it.
That's right.
The spread, we worried about the spread of North. The spread of West Coast has been unbelievably good. On the confidence they'll win it.
It's 28 degrees. I'm sure the Roos would think it's hotter than that at the moment. Goldstein down to Zeeble, kicks inside the forward 50. Hearn had hands on it, spills down towards Harvey, went the little towboat. There's a free kick here. Glass being held up by Hansen. He's given away one.
Well, their talls down the back are getting talls forward. Forward are getting annihilated by the backs.
Well, it was sad because they worked it through, and a silly, selfish free kick from Hansen saw it back in the opposition's hands. It was just not. He was just angry and frustrated by what hadn't happened to him. He didn't deserve a free kick. Given up one.
Yeah, that's right.
Just ridiculous.
But the thing is, Petrie and Hansen have been good in recent times, and they haven't been able to touch it so far when the ball's gone in there.
Glass went out to the run of Waters, just a little over his head, so we'll have a boundary throw in on the outer wing. Cox works his way to the front, down to Adam Selwood. Sure enough, Judgy, free kick, taken high. Adam Selwood's ball on the outer wing.
Quick give to Embley on the outside. He delivers towards half forward. Lunging forward, Lynch, the big Q stick, it bounces off his ample frame. Out of bounds at half forward.
And Dan, the interesting thing is they've often had the four. I think they might rotate them in such a way you wouldn't have four targets. The four have been on for most of the time.
Yep.
Gaff takes it, and he got tackled. And in fact, the boundary umpire's told to do it again because he was the smallest man there, was in front. And it just lacked distance.
Off the ladies' tee.
Yeah, it was. That's a bit better. Cox taps it down. Great tap. Prentice receives. Handball to Gaff. On the left, kicks inside, 50 again. It rolls away towards the pocket. Natanui attacks it. Scott Thompson with him. Out of bounds inside. Defensive 50 at the city end. What a blitzkrieg by the West Coast Eagles in the first 19 minutes. 5-3-33 North were behind.
The boundary throw in again, and the Eagles attacking 50. Natanui works his way to the front. Wins the tap. Zeebel's just trying to take Shuey's head off. I don't think he was meant to do that. Shuey just bent down to pick up the footy, and Zeeble coming through gave him the proverbial coat hanger. So Shuey a free kick in the right forward pocket, where Darling kicked his goal from moments ago in front of the Eagles race.
Well, the dominance is shown just in pure disposal. 64 to the Eagles, 35 to North Melbourne. I mean, that is an absolute not being one team getting it and having it, and the other team not being able to get it.
Natanui makes his way off the ground. West Coast fans below us pretty happy with his start so far and the start of their football team, because the Eagles are flying at Subiaco. Shuey's got one himself as he adds his name to the goal kickers list. West Coast 6-3-39. North Melbourne stagnant on one behind that they got in the opening couple of minutes of the game, and since then it's been all the West Coast Eagles. Ken Judge and David Parkin.
Well, Ken, I might be able to get the early plane home, do you think?
Oh, I think so,
Give me a release from the box here at about half-time, I reckon. It's just really sad. I mean, North have made the trouble. You made the prediction based on where they've come, particularly over the last few weeks, having been appearing at least publicly to be satisfied of getting there. But it's not a lack of application. They are just being totally outplayed by a superior size, shape and ability team, and a method that's outstanding.
West Coast by 38 points. Cox climbs into Goldstein, who holds his ground but taps it straight down the throat of Kerr. Scrubbers a kick around the body towards half forward on the commentary side of the ground. Good play by Atley to get away from his opponent, and he squares it up to centre half back, and Zeeble takes the mark. Delivers now to Anthony, back edge centre square. Scott Selwood in pursuit, but Anthony gets away. But his kick doesn't find the target. Luckily, Harvey's waiting behind. Grabs it on the bounce. Kicks inside 50. Again, doesn't find the target. Good play by Thomas to handball out. But straight to McKenzie, who read it beautifully. Gets a hand pass to Shuey. Outside the defensive goal square at the Subiaco end. Pulls a nice kick to Kerr. Releases the champ. Kicks to the wing. Hill's on the back track. Did he take the mark? Or was it a free kick against Gibson?
Yeah.
It is for a front-on spoil. And Josh Hill with the free kick in front of our commentary position. Plays on quickly, delivers to Kerr, kept running, a little bit long for him, coming the other way. Scott Thompson endeavours to keep it alive, and then as the kick well smothered by Gaff, out of bounds between wing and half forward for West Coast. They continue to attack the city end. They lead 6-3, 39. North Melbourne are behind.
13 players out here north that are experiencing finals footy for the first time, and it's a rude awakening for them. The Eagles off to a very fast start. Knocks forward by North Melbourne. Gathered though on the broadcast wing by Gaff. Hands it back to Schofield. Sold some candy to get around Tarrant, and his kick is touched off the boot by Anthony. No, just straight out.
Yeah, I think he saw him come late and he's tried to pull his kick a bit and he's pulled it right across his body.
Oh, good defensive act. One of the first few that I've seen, Anthony. Good effort.
So North Melbourne to bring the footy back into play. McMahon goes on a bit of a run and goes off, cross the half-back line and turn it over. Mark taken by Embley. Embley chips inside the attacking 50, and here's Darling. Just all too easy for the Eagles at the moment. He marks at centre half forward, 50
to
out.
Kick his third. When McMahon played on then, and I looked, you look where a bloke's going to go, and you've got a great vantage point here, David. I couldn't work out where he was trying to kick that to.
And he's blaming everybody else. He's now throwing his arms around and pointing to his mates all there. They didn't want it. It wasn't even appropriate to go there.
I think he actually played on before he looked there.
Yeah,
and then he was committed to go. Yeah. And there was no one on at all in that area.
Jack Darling in his second final last year at home. He kicked 3 goals against the Blues. And he's looking for his third in the opening quarter here, but he's away to the right, so behind for Darling. 6-4-40 the West Coast Eagles. North Melbourne 1 behind.
Well, he's had 4 scoring shots in the first quarter for 2-2, Darling. Not a bad start.
Right. Dabs insured to McMahon. Can he make amends for his previous mistake? He's a little bit unsure once more. Goes on the left. Kicks to a contest at half-back. Glass a couple of whacks. Cunnington a hand pass. Taken by McMillan, who slips over. Kicks to the wing looking for Petrie. Natanui's coming the other way. Allows his teammate to grab it. Butler gets the hand pass to Natanui and to Scott Selwood, defensively combining beautifully to the veteran Glass. Stand start kick towards the wing. Good mark taken by Waters. No, he shoved his opponent in the back. And McMillan, the recipient at half-back. Farms a quick give at close quarters to Anthony. Anthony kicks north towards half-forward. Thomas not there. Butler slips over. Glass is there to circumvent once more for West Coast. Very reliable. And a beautiful left foot kick hits Gaff on the chest at left half-back with West Coast up by 39.
So Gaff goes along the line. Darling working for him. Big flying punch from the back by Ferrito. Spills down to Cunnington for the Roos. Hand pass away to Harvey. Short kick down towards half forward. Mark taken by Bastanak. Oh, his left footer inside the forward line. Yeah, just
Beautiful
spots his
kick.
target. And Hansen out on the lead, and he takes the mark.
Their method helped them to set that up, that is to play on all times. But in the back half, McMahon twice has played on, as you said, before he's actually looked, because this is what they do, and got himself under tilted. They needed at this stage, the game's out of control. They need to hold possession, slow it down. They've not attempted to do that at any stage, and good teams know that.
So Hansen slightly right of centre. He'll kick from about 40 metres out. Kick on its way, and he's missed out to the left. Let's see if we can go down to Dave Lindsay, who's on the boundary. Dave, just an update on conditions. It seems pretty still just out there at the moment. What are the conditions like?
Yeah, look, the flags indicate there's a fairly strong breeze heading towards the end. The Eagles are attacking, but you really can't feel it down here at ground level. Probably the most noticeable thing is that every North Melbourne player that comes off gets a wet towel applied to the back of his neck, and they've got 2 industrial strength fans down here at ground level as well.
Hearn kicks to Schofield, dropped the mark, had a chance to pick it up and kick to the wing. McMahon put the body on the line, and Big Hugh crunched him from behind.
Great courage.
Could he be in trouble for next week?
Well, I've got to say, in my opinion, there's only one bloke had his eye on the ball then.
Well, that's if anything's a dangerous thing, that's a reportable offence in the real sense of the word. Take your eye off the ball, knee him in the back when he can't see you coming. Gutless effort, that one.
McMahon in short, it's high, but Hansen stretches up and beats Schofield on this occasion.
Totally and utterly unnecessary without his eye on the ball. That's not right.
On the members' wing, he kicks towards centre half forward. Petrie up a little bit too early. Waters trying to work his way to the front. Socket forward by Wells. Might go all the way. Oh, hits the base of the post. No luck for North Melbourne. Third behind on the board. 3 behinds. West Coast 6-4, 40 on Grandstand AFL. 27 gone in the opening quarter of the elimination final from Subiaco.
It's called incidental contact, isn't it? Going for a mark. He wasn't going for the mark. He just kneed him in the back when he wasn't looking. Dreadful effort.
Hearn kicks to himself, then goes out towards Cox at half back and takes the mark. Dave Lindsay on the boundary.
Yeah, McMahon very sore as he's hobbled off the ground, getting some attention in the dugout right at the moment.
Cox in game 250. Short along the boundary line to Embley. Andrew Embley kicked a ripper goal earlier in the game, the third for the West Coast Eagles. They've got 6. North Melbourne yet to kick their first. Embley goes beyond the wing. Ferrito juggling effort, couldn't mark. Lynch tries to hold him up. Ferrito goes by hand over the top towards Zeeble of the Roos. Hand pass up further on towards the teammate there in Atley. Atley's short kick down towards Thomas. He kicks inside the forward pocket. For Petrie, hand pass away towards Well, and he's turned it over. Missed the target. Hearn away. Finds Hill all alone on the broadcast wing. He has a bounce and keeps going. Darling free. He just points into space, and the kick from Hill goes in that direction. Tough for Grimer, and Darling takes the mark, running back with the flight.
Brad Scott would have to be really disappointed. Hill has been standing on this wing half forward area for the last freaking 5 minutes by himself. Now, I suppose you can say, well, where's his opponent? But guess who's in control of the ball? West Coast. You've got to go over and man up and play on the bloke. At this stage, I wouldn't be rolling the dice at all if I was North. I'd be just trying to win contest to contest, play man-on-man footy, close the game up a bit and try and get yourself back in the game. They're going to cost themselves a goal here because he's been standing there by himself for 5 minutes.
He's had a massive opening quarter. Jack Darling from 30 out. He's got his third. The Eagles have 7. 28.5 minutes into the opening quarter. The West Coast Eagles 7-4. North Melbourne 3 behinds.
Can I say, because you and I were nudging each other, pointing to Hill, absolutely shaking our head, trying to work out who his opponent was and where he is. We can see the link-ups from up here. We can actually see the pattern of ball movement, and the players already in a position to receive it before they've released it in the back half of the ground. And that's exactly what happened. And it was a fabulous kick by Hill in the finish to get it over the top into Lynch's pathway, but he had no pressure on it. He could have run and bounced and done exactly what he wanted with it. They ought to go you're right. They ought to absolutely man up totally wherever their bloke goes. Try and win a contest.
Is there a plan B with the Kangaroos? Bounce in the middle, Goldstein. Cox taps it down after Goldstein climbed into him, pack forming at their feet.
I've got to say, Dan, in watching that, no, there's not. And they need a plan B. You're playing finals footy now. It does change a little bit.
Yes. Must slow it down somehow. Cox the tap. Open-handed one. Bastanak collects. Gets tackled. Lost control of it. Eagles ready to swoop once more. Scott Selwood just got tagged as he was getting ready to extricate himself from the congestion. There'll be a bounce outside the circles.
Yeah, their best players, basically, other than Swallow and Zeeble, have been in their back half where the ball's been all the time.
Cox again beats Goldstein. Good sharking by Shuey of West Coast. Kicks to half forward. There's the zone. That man Darling was looking to take another mark. What a quarter that was by the West Coast Eagles. Their fans are pretty happy. They stand as one around the vast expanses of this big stadium. And their team has produced one of the best quarters of football you're likely to see in finals, blowing North Melbourne away and the Kangaroos with all to do. The Eagles 7-4-46. North Melbourne 3 behinds. Darling 3 goals for West Coast, 50 for the season now, and 1 apiece to Shuey, to Mackenzie, his first goal in league football, the defender, and also a goal to Andrew Embley and Josh Hill. North Melbourne, clean slate.
7-4-46, the West Coast Eagles. They lead North Melbourne, who are just 3 behind. The Eagles already with a foot in the door to next Saturday night semi-final against Collingwood at the MCG. Apart from the West Coast Eagles start, the talking point, Quinton Lynch, to come from that opening term as well. Sure to be looked at by the match review panel for his bump on Scott McMahon, running back with the flight of the footy that has leapt into his back. Gave away a free kick. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more about that.
I think you're being kind in saying a bump. I thought it was just a knee in the middle of a bloke's back who showed enormous courage, and to my way of thinking, there was only one bloke was trying to mark the ball, and that was McMahon, and he got kneed in the middle of the back. And that's a rib breaker, to be honest, that sort of thing.
Angry about that. He'll be gone for the rest of the day. There's no doubt that he can't perform with the physical capacities that he should have. What's been a bit hurtful, Ken, for North Melbourne, their best intercept player, and he's been really good throughout. I think might have been nominated for the All-Australian team, has been Thompson.
Yep.
He's yet to touch the ball. The ball's come down so cleanly and so well into that last final inside 50 kick that a bloke as good as Thompson's been, he's the best intercept mark player in the competition right now, has not been able to get his hand on the ball.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, from my point of view, I mean, West Coast have been excellent. They've just denied North Melbourne possession of the ball. Possessions 89 to 58 at quarter time here. That's an indication of it. They've beaten them on the inside and they've beaten them on the outside, West Coast, so that they've been strong at the ball in the contest, and they've had players when they've distributed, they've spread really well, something we thought North were going to do to them. The times they've gone forward, West Coast backline's been terrific. They've just held up, stood up.
Because it's been in enough for them, hasn't it? It's been when am I talking about inside 50s of 14-11, that's not a significant difference. They never look like scoring a goal. The back half has worked so well together.
They've done really well there. To my way of thinking, I mean, I didn't see North change anything in that quarter. When they had their backs to the wall, they didn't have a B plan, as Dan, you asked at one stage. There was no B plan to close the game up, to say, listen, let's slow it down, close it up. Let's minimise the damage now. Try and get to quarter time without having 7 goals on the board. Maybe have 4 against you. 4-0 at quarter time. You're still in the game. I reckon it's nearly game gone.
Oh no, too late. To do what they should have done automatically halfway through the quarter.
And I think the last thing is West Coast kicking disposal effectiveness, which you mentioned, 81%. And North's is 71%. 10% is significant in footy and significant in finals footy under pressure.
More coming up from Ken Judge and David Park, and it's quarter time here at Subiaco Oval. The elimination final between the Eagles and the Roos, and it's West Coast 7-4 leading North Melbourne 3 behinds. This is Grandstand AFL.
6 to Gaff, 5 to Cox. Brent Harvey has had 1 mark and 4 kicks, 6 disposals to Zeeble, 3 to Anthony, 3 to Hanson, 3 to Swallow, and 3 to Atley, 6 to Jamie McMillan, and 3 each to Scott McMahon and Daniel Wells.
Good on you, Ken. Bounce back in the centre and offloaded his Kerr in a tackle, and there'll be another bounce, secondary bounce. Not enough of North Melbourne's good players getting the footy.
Well, they're pushing up Hearn, I think, is the loose man, but he's allowed his opponent to go up. It's a high half forward. Otherwise, man on man all over the ground.
Goldstein, open-handed slap. Pritis was upended. Swallow under pressure, did well to get the hands free in the tackle. A hand pass to Zeeble. Kicks to open territory. And it goes out of bounds in front of our commentary position, David, slightly attacking side.
Interesting enough, I think those two possession getters there, Swallow and Zeeble, have been the two of actually trying to turn it around, but they need a bit more support than those two. They've crashed in and competed hard, but they just can't, their mates aren't helping them.
Goldstein there, tapped it down but taken by Selwood. Scott Selwood sweeps the long hand pass to Pritis, likewise to Shuey and out to Wembley. All getting involved, kicks to half forward. Kennedy out positioned by Ferrito. Good defensive mark outside the centre square.
Well, that'd be a handy one for him because he hasn't hardly touched the ball.
Ferrito goes out towards Swallow on the outer wing. He was held up and he'll get the free kick. Dave Lindsay is on the boundary.
Scott McMahon has started the second quarter on the ground, fellas. He's manned up on Quinton Lynch, the man that counted into him in the first term.
So here's Swallow, the logo of the outer wing. Goes out to half forward. Heavy collision between Schofield and also Adam Selwood. Play allowed to keep rolling on. North Melbourne go inside their attacking 50 and the mark taken by Petrie. The kick came from Tarrant. Both Eagles, both with the trainers at the moment after that collision.
That didn't look good.
Didn't look good, did it? It might be a 7-goal breeze, you know.
No, I don't think it's a 7-goal breeze.
They're kicking to the end with the goals we got last time.
And Petrie's going to go short.
There's got to be a chance to have someone loose because there's 2 West Coast Eagles blokes laying on the ground, so there's got to be a couple of freed up players. If they can't attack now, they're never going to attack.
Get 3 or 4 while they're dead on the ground, you reckon? No, I don't.
Crowd just seen the collision again. Schofield chasing Tarrant, and Adam Selwood was coming through in the other direction. Both men back up on their feet. 41,470 in at the moment. And here's Hansen. A set shot for the Roos in the right forward pocket. He's hit the post. Still looking for their first of the afternoon. West Coast 7-4. North Melbourne 4 behinds.
Second post up.
Yeah.
Hearn back into play, clears defensive 50, and Marston's away to the races. Front of our commentary position has a bounce. Kicks to half forward. Lynch will be the target. McMahon punches away. Arriving and crunning is McGinnity. Kicks West Coast back inside 50. Cox pushed out of it by Scott Thompson, who may collect it close to the line. Did he go over? No, he didn't. He keeps it alive. Hand pass to Ferrito, put him in trouble. Back to Thompson. Gets out of a lunging tackle. Heads to the outer side. Not a great kick. Clears Swallow and his opponent Scott Selwood. Spills to the back. Schofield slaps it away and puts it over the boundary. It'll be thrown back into play on that outer wing. North Melbourne at 4 behinds. West Coast to 7-4-46.
So from the throw-in, Natanui. They both missed at the rucks. It spills down towards Zabel. He gets the kick down to half forward. Bounced off the chest of Waters of the Eagles. Tapped it back to Butler. Hand pass back to Waters. Kicks out towards half back. Just bounces inside the paint before going out. And we'll have a throw-in. Half forward for North Melbourne, off to the city end in his second term. Beautiful day for footy. Perhaps a little hot, up around 28 degrees. From the restart, Cunnington, clever hand pass, rode the bump, gave it away to Swallow from the right forward pocket. He's hit the post again.
But the sad thing, he had both Zeeble and Wells in the corridor and free, and at no stage, and he's a good team player, no stage did Swallow look inside, could have had a gimme to both of his teammates.
Early stages of the second term, West Coast 7-4, North Melbourne 5 behind.
Still no goal at the Subiaco end of this match. Priddis marks a lovely precise kick from Waters. Quick hand pass to Kerr. Was surrounded but gets away. Kicks to the wing. Lynch has pushed his opponent stupidly under the footy and right and given away a free kick.
Not
couple
quite
of
sure.
bad
The big Q thinking there. I don't think there was any free kick that could have been paid.
So right on the wing for North Melbourne. Launches towards half forward. Wobbly kick. And getting out in front. A brilliant defender. Big chance of being named All-Australian again during the week for the 4th time. Darren Glass. He's at halfback. He probes a kick towards the wing. Clearing Cox and Scotty Thompson. Good mark on his chest to Atley.
What a good mark. He was going to punch it away and he changed his mind in the middle of the ball landing with him. That's a very clever thing to do.
So Atley kicks down towards half forward. No, there's no one there for North Melbourne. Mark taken on the chest by Waters.
Yeah, but I mean, Wells there. Where was Wells going? Wells was going towards goal and let his man go to the ball. That's just terrible play from an experienced player.
Short to Cox, out to Schofield. Hand pass inboard to Marston. Marston goes forward by hand to Scott Selwood. Away to Marston again, close to the boundary line. Comes back inboard. Ugly kick off the right boot, but it can be marked on the chest by Kennedy.
Sometimes things just happen for you, don't they? And I just sense today that things are falling for West Coast, and we've had North Melbourne hit the post 3 times so far, so maybe it's just not going to be their day.
Just within Kennedy's range. He's,
45,
is it 45?
Yeah, when he comes out of the bowling alley, Freddie Flintstone.
So Kennedy, set shot on its way. It's hooking out towards the left. A little too much at the end. And missing to the far side of behind. West Coast to 7-5. North Melbourne 5 behind. 6 minutes into the second term. Dave Lindsay is on the boundary.
Adam Selwood's finally made his way to the bench about 5 minutes after that collision with his teammate Will Schofield. He's got a bit of a problem with his right buttock at the moment. Will Schofield seems okay. He's running around the field without any real concerns at this stage.
How do I convince my grandson that Kennedy's technique's not the one he should be using?
Well, it's difficult. If he keeps kicking goals, it's going to be difficult.
That's the problem. He does. He keeps kicking goals.
Scott Thompson received from McMahon. Kick towards the halfback flank on the outer side. Petrie again underneath it. Swallow grabbed it at ground level. And then he's grabbed by the Eagles, Scott Selwood, and there'll be a bounce. 65 out from West Coast goal at that Subiaco end. We're 7 minutes in the second quarter. No goal as yet. Great tap, Cox. Priddis does well to grab it and handball to Embley. Kicks inside 50. Scott Thompson the spoil. Marston wins the contest. Feeds a hand pass clearing the pack, but intercepted by Ferrito. Gets the kick smothered. Taken on the boundary by Hill. He grubbers a kick towards the goal square. McMahon's there like a goalkeeper. Retreats for North Melbourne. Handballs towards Atley, who goes without it. Lynch receives a hand pass, then snaps hard on the boundary. They can do no wrong. Magnificent goal by Lynch. Unlucky again for the North Melbourne team. Going without it, Atley. McKennedy was there to mop it up, and Lynch snaps around the body and finally makes up for the mistakes he's been making today.
I just think the stars are aligned today, David, for West Coast. Although they're not aligned for Beau Waters at the moment, because he's in real trouble on the other side of the ground. I think he's got a really severe leg injury here. He hasn't moved. He'll be a blow if they lose him.
Absolutely.
We'll get down to Dave Lindsay too, Ken. Dave?
It's the right leg for Beau Waters. He's lying on his back on the far side of the ground, just watching the replay at the moment. Just got cannon into right behind and went straight to the ground. So it looks as though it could be a stretcher problem, or at least a serious injury for Beau Waters.
He's had a lot of injuries too, unfortunately, for Waters, one of their best players. 8-5, 53 West Coast, North of 5 behinds.
11 called for the stretcher, so they're a man down West Coast at the moment. As play rolls on and restarts back in the middle. Swallow hand pass away to Gibson. Kicks down to right half forward for North Melbourne. Bouncing footy. McBurney does well to avoid it. The umpire charging through is Mackenzie. Got his first goal in AFL footy earlier today. Down to Darling. He's got 3 of them already. Harvey nearby. And they'd minor contact and the ball went out of bounds. Dave on the boundary?
Beau Waters is walking around the boundary line down the outer side of the ground. There's a bit of confusion on the Eagles bench waiting to see if Jacob Brennan's been activated.
Here we go. There's a free kick here from the throw-in.
Has he actually been replaced?
Well, umpire Margetts is coming out on the ground now.
I don't know whether he's actually been replaced, has he? I mean...
Well, Margetts, he's taken over here and saying the game can't continue to play until they've made that decision. But I'm not sure what's gone wrong here in communication.
People getting carried around.
Never. Take him to the rooms, I think.
Well, I think Embley's now coming on. That was Embley's just come through the thing now, so he's actually come on.
He's out of the game then. Waters can't come back.
Well, I gather that's He
hasn't gone through the gate, so he's gone.
It's been carried off by a couple of the trainers.
I wouldn't be surprised, and look, I wouldn't be surprised he hasn't got a broken leg here.
Waters been carried off around the outer side of the ground towards the Eagles change rooms.
What's the difference? Why couldn't he go off on a stretcher? That's
what I can't work out. They were waving frantically on the other side, trying to get attention, and I don't know what's happened. No one's realised, or they've...
That's most unusual, isn't it?
Cool. So Scott Selwood, play restarts, and he goes short, and Embley marks on the logo.
So many collision injuries for Beau Waters. Embley, a defensive pass now, but switching to the outer side across the circles to Sam Butler. Sam Butler is confronted. He's unsure, but he kicks a pretty good one. Front head centre square, the mark accepted by Embley, who's been very productive so far. Kicks quickly inside 50 for the West Coast Eagles. Punched away by Lynch. Harvey's at ground level, paddles in front of him, wants support from McMahon and gets it. Gets the quick hand pass off to right. Hurries a kick towards Petrie, couldn't track it. Got support in Cunnington. Now they get a hand pass wide towards Anthony from Gibson, but his kick is too close to the boundary, out of bounds on the full. Terrible disposal by North Melbourne. That's an area that has let Liam Anthony down, the boy from East Fremantle, over the years.
Don't knock the East Fremantle boys, Dan.
No, just one player, Ken. I know they're a great club. Kicks towards the wing. Dean Cox takes another outstanding mark. The lead, 48 points.
Cox towards the run of Marston. Takes the mark. Plays on immediately. Inside 50. His kick cut out.
Another East Fremantle boy. Oh, kicking's terrible. Don't they teach him how to kick down there?
Zeebel's a little bit of pressure at the finish.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that's right.
It was a good chase down for Zeebel.
So Ferrito in the back pocket. Goes long in the Tarrant direction. Getting back Hearn. Takes the juggling mark. Hearn goes across the ground. They've got Glass moving forward. The attacking edge of the square. Inside 50. Out the metre is Hill. Takes the mark. 50 out. Almost directly in front.
Well, you were pointing then, Ken. Wells was looking at the bloke in the middle of the ground. He was on the half-back flank. 25 metres away on his own. He allowed it to happen. At no time did he run, slow the play down, put pressure on. None whatsoever. He's either done or gone, or he's head somewhere else.
So a set shot for Hill. He'll kick right on the 50-metre arc. It's a long way out towards the left. It may not have to carry. Punched away, out of bounds, off hands. We'll have a throw in the left forward pocket for West Coast.
Well, that is a concern, David, because they're almost playing like they expect to win the ball, and I'm in space when you win it. Guess what? It's not 8 goals to none.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't play footy like that.
Great tap to the back by Natanui. Getting slammed to the ground was Adam Selwood, and North Melbourne clear towards the middle of the ground. But they've got numbers everywhere, West Coast. Backing up Butler. Lovely left foot kick, finds Embley on the outer side. In short again. McGinnity had it slapped away at the last minute by a very desperate athlete, and it'll be a boundary throw in 35 around from West Coast goal at the Subiaco end.
Rolling the dice like that's okay when you're winning. Not when you're 8 goals behind. You don't roll the dice like that.
53 plays 5. Back into play. Cunnington, third man there, punches it down to Tarrant, who got tackled. His hand pass not great. Intercepted by Kerr. Nice little hand pass along the ground to Selwood. Handball's wide to Prittis. Under duress, throws it on the boot. Scott Thompson in the road though for North. Kicks back to the wing. It'll come back again. Hearn marking for West Coast. They are dominating everywhere, the Eagles.
Hearn, his 50th consecutive game today. Out towards half forward. Mark taken by Prittis. Oh, he turned and flirted with the idea of playing on.
No, he didn't flirt. He went on.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the crowd are going, oh, a bit lucky with that one.
So Prittis inside the forward pocket. Oh, in front, Hill. Takes a good pack mark, and he'll go back and have a set shot from 30 out.
Well, that's a good mark by Hill, because I've got to say that in recent weeks he hasn't played with that same kind of commitment for, I reckon, as I said, the last third of the year.
Oh, it's a fabulous mark.
Great mark, in front.
Big, strong.
Yep.
I thought, well, it'll be Natanui or Cox or one of those big blokes that come out, but that is a superb mark, pack mark.
30 goals in the first 15 games. He's kicked just 3 in the past 5. He's got 1 already for his second of the afternoon. He's hit the post. West Coast 8-6-54. North Melbourne are 5 behind. 14 minutes into the second term elimination final at Subi on Grandstand AFL.
That's a bad miss by him. He's usually a good converter.
Right to himself. And he'll launch long to the outer side of the ground. Again, a nice spool by Schofield. Eagles with crummers everywhere. Defensive give by Kerr to Gaff, who goes wide. And the mark taken by Hill again. Hill stabbed towards half forward. Andrew Embley running a mark. Left half forward, fairly acute angle. Well, heading to the Subiaco end.
There's some really worrying signs, David, at the moment. They're about to fracture totally here, North, I reckon. Their accountability is zero.
And what it won't be is helpful for the opposition. I'm telling you, West Coast don't want to go on and add 25 goals to 1. That's not going to help them at all in the sense of what's coming in the weeks following. They want a contest from North Melbourne. They need it.
4 of their past finals, they've been thrashed. And this is heading in the same direction. Embley on a fairly acute angle. He's kicked the goal. It was a flat punt. Terrible looking kick off the boot, but it's a ripper.
Oh, Stephen Kernan special. We're all saying the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's called a helicopter.
It is. 9-6-60 West Coast, North Melbourne, 5 behind.
He listens to the ABC. You and I will be getting a phone call saying, sorry, Sticks.
Sticks was the straightest kick of helicopters I've ever seen.
And that was the same, wasn't it?
That's right. But no, I mean, that's just the day so far. West Coast can't do much wrong. No. North can't do much right, but there's some real worrying signs for me from North's point of view. I mean, it's game gone. There's no question about that. But to even be competitive for me is going to be a challenge for North, because I just see some serious cracks starting to appear in their armour at the moment. They're just not showing any accountability or interest in accountability.
And you predicted that, Ken.
Natanui and Petrie in the restart back in the centre. Natanui palmed it down towards Prittis. Tumbles a kick down to half forward for the Eagles. Darling out to meet it. Tried to whack it back over his head. Clever by Hill. Out in front of the partner, Scott Selwood for West Coast. Lost his footing and the football picked up by McMahon. Hand pass away to Ferrito. Now Swallow for the Roos. Out to Gibson. He's under pressure. Stolen away from him by Hearn. Just wanted it more. Hand pass picked off though by McMillan. Gave it away to Zeeble. Now Swallow. Gave it to Petrie under pressure. Tackled by Natanui. Will have a bounce on the northern wing.
Well, they are shot, aren't they? I mean,
he makes good choices usually, Swallow, and that was a panic handball to a teammate.
Get it out of here. Get it out of here. And he put his mate under twice the duress.
So the bounce. Natanui knocks it away out in front of the path of Wells. Wells gathers at half-back. Calls the Shepherd from Ferrito and kicks down towards the logo. Awkward half-volley pick-up for Tarrant. Ricocheted off his shins. Picked up here by Gaff. Hands it back towards Butler. Butler will go back in board. Again, awkward half volley for McGinnity. Gave it off to Scott Selwood. Hand pass inboard finds Gaff. Gaff will send it towards left half forwards. Adams Selwood the target. Good mark taken by McMahon. Dave Lindsay on the boundary.
Jacob Brendan's just been activated. We believe Bo Waters is injured an Achilles tendon.
Oh, terrible injury for him. Kicks to the outer side and it'll go out of bounds. Brennan involved in that exchange, but it does stay in somehow. Harvey does well. Handballs to Bastanak and now to Gibson. Kicks inside, 50 towards the city end, bouncing away. Tarrant's the chance to go after this, but the luck just not with North, as we mentioned. Bounce of the ball, everything, it goes out of bounds in the forward pocket.
What a performance in the first half by Andrew Embley. 7 marks, 12 kicks halfway through the second quarter.
Boundary throw in. Natanui from the back, palmed it down. And there's Brennan involved, the sub on the bottom of this pack. Umpire lets them play a little while and now calls for the bounce. The footage from Waters, that all makes sense. An Achilles tendon, the way he just stops.
Well, there was no contact in that thing where they showed. He just pulled up, so he's quite likely torn it reasonably badly, I'd suggest, if he stopped like that.
Natanui palms it down straight to Swallow. Has to become tackler. Hand pass back to Thomas. He sprays it out to the left. Another behind for the Roos. West Coast 9-6-60. North Melbourne are 6 behind. 18 minutes into the second term. Grandstand AFL, the elimination final at Subi.
You don't realise that down the track for North Melbourne, this becomes a handicap. Unfortunately, every time they get, and they've earned their right to be there, but the time they get there, each time they've absolutely not come to the party, and this will be another one.
Hearn kicks to himself, and he has kicked it out of bounds on the full. Got good pressure then, forcing the poor kick. So Drew Petrie will take it at left half forward. Aiming for the city end. His kick towards the goal square. They've got numbers everywhere. Brennan misses it. Campbell open goal. North Melbourne are on the board. Should have marked that one, young Brennan in the square, the substitute. North get their first goal. It's taken a quarter and 19 minutes almost. 1-6-12 West Coast, 9-6-60 on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, well, that was a bad miss by Jacob Brennan. Just come on the ground for Bo Waters. And, of course, fellas like Campbell don't need much opportunity when they get around the goals like that. That was a simple one for him, running to an open goal.
And Ken Waters going. Brennan, obviously, he's round the edge and plays in that position, but they would lose an enormous... Well,
he's their vice-captain. I reckon Waters nearly wins their best and fairest this year. If he doesn't, he's certainly in the top 2 or 3, in my opinion. He's had a great year.
So the influence he has on this time, leadership and playing-wise, will be dreadful. Hard. He's a tough man.
48 points the margin. Goldstein reaching over the top, but down to Scott Selwood. Kicks out towards half forward. McGinnity used the body well, won the footy, then got it back again and away from right, kicked inside the forward 50, bouncing ball over the head of Lynch. Darling at the back, Sharks head, kicks a goal. Darling's got 4. The Eagles with the quick reply, 10-6-66. They lead North Melbourne 1-6-12. Back out to 54 points as we tick into time on of the second term. Grandstand AFL, Corbin Middlemass and Dan Lonigan. Our Grandstand AFL experts, David Parkin and Ken Judge.
Ken, can I ask you the question now? Think a bit about the future for West Coast. They've had the tools out, basically, on the field all the time. Cox going forward and on the ball, not as much today. He's been off the ground a bit. Nat Nui obviously does it. Kennedy back in and looks comparable. They bought, who else is back? They bought Lynch in again today. Yep. As a structure, with Hill doing the job, they've got a very good setup, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. And look, no better day than to play Blokes Tall. Great weather conditions.
Take away again, Shuey's got it, a couple of bounces. He gets away from Swallow, 40 metres out. This would be a spectacular goal. Just misses to the right-hand side. Wonderful breakaway play by Luke Shuey.
Well, I'm going to pay some credit to Swallow there. I reckon Swallow's the only bloke in the North Melbourne side that can hold his head up at the moment. He's having a red-hot crack. And it was his pressure by presence with that chase, although he didn't get a hand on him, but forced him to miss it.
55 points the lead for West Coast.
Thompson long to Tarrant. Takes a big mark at half-back. Zeeble back on the ground, calling for it in front of the interchange. The kick will head out towards the broadcast wing. Schofield in front, punched it in front of the part of Adam Selwood. Hand pass to be picked off by Hanson at centre half forward. Kicks the Roos inside the forward 50. Anthony went the punch back towards the goal square. Hearn looking to rush it through when he does so. Another behind. North Melbourne 1-7, West Coast to 10-7. 9 goals the margin, 22 minutes into the second term.
So Hearn, who is a thumping kick as we know, kicks it low, long and flat towards Marston. Can't control it under pressure from Grimer. Hanging on to him, brings him to ground. He does somehow get it out in the direction of Mackenzie. Back to Marston, spinning by his gaff, lost it, regains it. Hard on the boundary. Kicks West Coast towards half forward. Darling there. Scott Thompson, third man up to make it 2-on-1 for North. Wins it at ground level. Hand pass very untidy. Embley is lurking. Tarrant was the play it was intended for. He couldn't pick it up. Taken by McGinnity. Shakes the tackle on the left. Paddy McGinnity, a beautiful goal. Brilliant play by West Coast. Margin back out to an even 10 goals. 11-7-73 North, 1-7-13.
I reckon by quarter time I hadn't seen McGinnity do anything, and this quarter he's bobbed up and adding to the machine that's going through the middle, probably got some confidence from his mates. That was a terrific effort, and they were just nonplussed. Tarrant was down back, tall man, can't do much around his feet, and they just got outmanoeuvred, outrun, and scored with ease. It's just been a procession that I keep suggesting may not be all that helpful for, silly thing to say, for West Coast, but it's destroyed anything that North Melbourne brought here to play with.
60 points the margin. Cox back in the middle, palms it down, swung around Cunnington, eventually got it away to Zeeble, kicks to centre half forward and Petrie marks. Petrie turns, kicks inside the attacking 50. Oh, Anthony just dropped his arms. Thomas looked back at him and thought he was going for it. The two have a few words, and the ball goes out of bounds. We'll have a throw in the forward pocket for North.
That was a leave it for me one.
Yeah.
So Goldstein and Cox. Goldstein palms it down beautifully. Harvey right at the foot of the pack, kicks goalward and kicks the goal.
Yeah.
Fine effort from Brent Harvey. North have got their second. West Coast 11-7. North at 2-7. 24 minutes into the second term.
It came, I think, from a Goldstein hit to advantage. Hit forward, outside. Harvey, as good as he is, was able to gather clean, and under a fair bit of frontal and side pressure, kicked an excellent goal. That's a team lifter, but the kind of football we expect them to play more consistently.
Yeah, well, look, it was badly needed, but they're few and far between at the moment for North, and West Coast, to my way of thinking, it's like just a little bit of annoyance for them, I think, the way they're playing. It's I suppose we'll let you in for one, but we'll just take control again.
Back in the middle, Goldstein flying high. Natanui, brilliant down to Prentice to Selwood. Kerr receives it, then lost it, got tackled under duress. Scott Selwood tried to get it out. Wells tipped it away though towards Cunnington. Feeds a hand pass wide to Wells, streaming around the outer wing. Prentice in pursuit. He has a bounce and kicks very low. Not good delivery at the bootlaces of Hanson. Got shunted off it. Brennan's in the back of Thomas, I thought. Yes, right forward pocket. Free kick to Lindsay Thomas for North Melbourne. Hasn't quite settled into the pace of it, Jacob Brennan, today.
No, he's made a couple of bad errors so far.
And Thomas will take his kick from outside the boundary. About 50 metres out. Looking for 2 in a row for North and 3 of the past 4. See, they're coming though from a long way back, close to half-time. Skipping inside the 50. 49 out. Lindsay Thomas has missed it to the left-hand side. And North have another behind. 10 scoring shots to 18. They're 2-8-20. West Coast 11-7-73.
North Melbourne wearing black armbands today. Liam Anthony's grandfather passed away during the week. And McMillan and Attlee both have 2 armbands on. The other one for Ben Maben's grandfather, who also passed away this week. West Coast have worked the ball down the outer side. Free kick to Glass on the defensive side of the wing. Goes beyond the logo, looking to try and find Adam Selwood. He'll get a free kick as well, infringed upon by Hanson.
Could have very well nearly marked at Hanson without looking at it too well. I wonder what the umpire would have done there. He just couldn't gather as it rolled down his hips.
11-7 plays 2-8. Approaching half-time. Selwood long in the forward pocket. Offhand, spills down the back. Looking to try and claim the mark was Thompson. Then he's tackled. The footy comes out. The umpire will call for a bounce in the left forward pocket for the West Coast. Waters off with what is expected as an Achilles tendon injury on his right leg. Natanui wins the tap, then follows up his own ball, gets it out towards Scott Selwood, who slips over the boundary. And Lynch for a charge onto McMahon in the first quarter of the match review panel. Sure to look at that tomorrow. A couple of the other incidents to come from the game so far.
Back into play, Goldstein taps it down, running onto it. Wells has the kick smothered. North still not out of trouble. Z-ball there. Darling with his hard body put pressure on him. Scott Thompson picks it up close to the boundary. Got an easy mark taken by Adam Selwood. Outside attacking 50. Handballs to Shuey. Tucked in. Wells does well to hold him up as he tried to get around him, and in the end the hand pass is out of bounds. Good effort by Wells to hang on and ensure that Shuey couldn't get away from him. 40 out from West Coast goal at the Subiaco end. Toss back into play. Goldstein beats Cox. Open-handed slap. Work his way through. Adam Selwood has a shot at goal. Natanui nearly marks it on the goal line. He's tackled close to the boundary line. And then a number of players go to ground. Big Nick's hanging on from behind. There's going to be a North Melbourne free kick in the last line of defence, with the Eagles by 53 points, 28 travelled second term.
And this has been the problem, Dan, to get it out, even from a set play like free kick situation, to get it out of the front half of West Coast been one of the really difficult tasks for them.
Thompson plays on, runs to the back pocket, and then kicks long out towards the Goldstein at half back. Cox at the back of the pack. Takes the mark. Push.
Sorry, Corbin. Well, it's a free kick, but I'd say it was happening every time. Long kick just comes back.
Edge Goldstein underneath the footy. So his free kick on the defensive side of the wing goes down the line and turns it over. Intercept mark taken by Glass. He'll come back inboard, and Scott Selwood for the Eagles on the defensive side of the wing.
Averaging just under 25 possessions a game this year. He kicks towards Butler. Under pressure, playing very well, Butler. Posed to Harvey, who whacks him over the face and says, "I'll get you for this, Butler." He's on the outer wing. Harvey comes at him. He's on the left. He kicks wide now in the direction of Adam Selwood. Can't take the mark. Does he keep it alive? No, he just ran out of bounds as he was running off to the races boundary throwing.
Did you practice that one, Dan? Did you have that one in the...
Yes, been practicing it all the way over, Ken. All the way over. Had to use it somehow. On the buses, of course.
Yes.
Boundary throw-in. Spills down towards Adam Selwood. Hand pass away to Kerr. Kicks out to half forward. He's kick partially cut out. Still rolls away towards Anthony, who sees it over the line. We'll have a throw-in at half forward for West Coast. So the Eagles made their sub. Waters out with an Achilles injury. Brennan has been subbed in. Kieran Harper still in green for North Melbourne from the throw-in. Goldstein won the tap. Natanui wins the footy. Hand pass to Scott Selwood. Hand pass out in front of the path of Cox. Hooks the kick from the left forward pocket and hits the post.
The back side of the post too, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon just about got through.
Yeah.
11-8 plays 2-8. 9 goals the margin as we approach the half-hour mark in his second term.
What's that, at least 4 posters? 2 for each side this term?
This term's 5. 3 to North for the game and 2 to West Coast.
McMahon into play. Normally a beautiful kick. Heads towards the commentary side. Almost gets as far as Tarrity. Handballs to Petrie. He hasn't been quiet. Handballs now to Atley. He'll run away from Glass. He has to change direction. Glass keeps the pressure on. He's now on the outer side. Got nothing to kick to. In the end, just hopes that someone will come after it. Lindsay Thomas is that far away. He's virtually kicking towards the boundary. In the end, he's been penalised.
Well, I think he just kicked it up in the air and it went out of bounds. Is what happened. He had nowhere to go. He couldn't kick it any.
So Jacob Brennan will take the free kick at half back on the outer side. Hoists it long. Looking for Hill, who's a terrific mark. Just sticky fingers.
Good one.
Taking another excellent mark, the former Bulldog. Kicks towards Gaff. I should say Shuey. Couldn't quite take it with the outstretched. Gaffey's lookalikes there as well. Paddles to Prentice, sharing it with Shuey, who hugs the boundary inside 50. Kick not a great one. Chance now for Grimer to try and knock it towards the line. McGinnity pressing him. It's out of bounds. 25 around from West Coast goal at the Subiaco end.
Well, I reckon that was more deliberate than the kick down there.
Absolutely right.
So from the boundary throw-in, Cox wins the tap down towards Kerr. He's tackled and taken into the ground. Lost the footy. Out towards Cox. Stripped of it also. Thompson just a clearing kick. There's no one there.
How many times they've done that this quarter? 7 times. Grabbed it, kicked it.
Glass just taking the mark uncontested. He goes inboard to Marston as the half-time siren goes. So an eventful opening half. It's all West Coast on the scoreboard. Almost 42,000 in at Subiaco Oval. The Eagles 11-8-74. They lead North Melbourne, who are 2-8-20. It took 19 minutes into that second term for North to kick their first goal through Matt Campbell. Brett Harvey is their only other goal scorer who kicked the last of the game. Meanwhile, for the West Coast Eagles, their goal scorers, 4 to Jack Darling. He's been super up front. 2 for Andrew Embley. And then singles for Luke Shuey. Eric McKenzie got his first goal in AFL footy in game number 78. Quinton Lynch has 1. Josh Hill another. And Pat McGinnity, the goal scorers for the West Coast Eagles. 54 points the margin at the long break. A couple of incidents to note from that opening half of football. Lynch charging into the back of McMahon, who was standing underneath the footy, and collected a knee into his back. And that's sure to be looked at by the match review panel. Meanwhile, Beau Waters, who was carried off the ground by a couple of trainers, a suspected Achilles tendon injury on his right leg. Half-time at Subiaco Oval, 54 points the margin. The Eagles over North Melbourne. Our grandstand AFL experts, Ken Judge and David Parkin.
Yeah, well, David, looking back on that first half, I think the game was over not long after it started, to be honest, the way West Coast started. North have just been totally outgunned for mine. I mean, West Coast have got winners everywhere, numerous winners. I look at North's group and I think, I can only really find one genuine, well, I don't know whether he's a winner, but competitor, and that's Swallow, in my opinion. He's had a red-hot crack. He's led from the front. He's had nowhere near enough support, in my opinion. Zeeble a little bit, perhaps. We didn't see much of Zeeble, I didn't think, in that quarter.
Zeeble doesn't break it open and go with it, so, but he's a competitor.
But he's chased. He's had a chase down and tackle. He's had a chase that forced a point in that quarter. So I just think he's been great. But West Coast's spread has been terrific. And to my way of thinking, that was what we thought North were going to be able to do. We thought it might be in some trouble with West Coast. But West Coast have just taken so much control of the game and have controlled the ball on the inside of the contest and the outside, as I said, at quarter time. It's just denied North even just getting hold of enough of the ball. 178 possessions to 123 at half time. So they're smashing them in that area. And to my way of thinking, I just can't see North and us not able to generate anything of a positive nature at this stage. And that's because of West Coast's great play. Really?
Oh, no doubt, and their better players, even Swallow, has been spooked by the, what can I say, by the environment which he finds himself at nowhere. And they're grabbing it down there. To think that Grimer's come back in and hasn't touched the ball, he's been playing a key position in the back, so he may not have been quite ready to come back in because he can play. He has not influenced the game in any shape or form. So few have. The two real Swallow can play. He's a beautiful player, angry inside, does cover the ground. Zeeble's a slugger inside without being able to hurt you on the outside in the real sense. So they'll go away. The sad thing, they'll go away at this point with nothing to grab hold of. And you asked about the B plan. I mean, I think Dan asked about 20 minutes into the first quarter. We've been asking that for all around there. Where is their B plan for about 6 or 8 weeks when it doesn't happen? And it's just imperative. All the good teams, when they lose momentum or control over the game, whatever you call it, they're able to get possession, work hard, even if it's laterally and backwards and sideways, to make the other side come to them and play. But I didn't see at any stage, not in a half of game where they'd been annihilated, when they did get the ball, somebody say, settle down here, Jack, let's just slow this mob down.
Well, it was indicative that last time they went forward. Everyone was in West Coast forward half of the ground. They won possession North. And one
straight back out.
And they've had to kick the ball up in the air into their forward line. The ball's gone out of bounds. They've been penalised for deliberate. I'm not sure it was deliberate. I think he just kicked it up there. The shape of the ball took it out of bounds in the end. But so it wasn't really. But they had no one to kick it to because they had no one forward they could actually get the ball to. So he had no other option other than do that. They were going sideways, and they just had to say, well, I've just got to kick it down and hope to goodness it. Well,
you talk about the targets. They went in with Tarrant being in reasonable form and at all. Hansen, and I've had question marks about them both, and certainly Petrie has been terrific. Not one of the three has been able to impact on the ball. And you might say it didn't get enough and the delivery in has been pretty ordinary. And you go to the other end of the ground and the dominant players have been the structural players in that side. Each of them have contributed, and particularly Darling, who's really come of age in football. Maybe his finishing work at 63% is not great, but he has taken 5 marks. I mean, what a wonderful player to be playing basically as a third tall forward on a forward flank. He runs like the wind and can do things that small blokes can do. So they'll be very happy, other than having lost one of their, and you know more about than I do, one of their more significant players. No doubt that he will be missed because he generates things in this side. Beautiful long kick. He is tough as nails and competes. So they won't be able to find a replacement as good as him. But they would have thought their method, across the board effort, has been unbelievably good, and their skill level still running at 75% in a final is both effective, and North Melbourne running at 67, nowhere near what they've been able to do when the pressure hasn't been applied. So your predictability in terms of what you thought West Coast could bring and what North Melbourne were vulnerable in has become the reality at half-time.
Thoughts of Ken Judge and David Parkin at half-time here at Subiaco Oval. It's the West Coast Eagles, 11-8-74. They lead North Melbourne 2-8-20. Lynch to be looked at by the match review panel, and Waters has been subbed out of the game already with an Achilles tendon injury. North yet to make their sub. Kieran Harper still in the green vest. 54 points the margin at half-time. The Eagles over the Roos. The quality they lost by triple figures. In the 2005 elimination final, they lost by 87. They're down by 54 here. A bit of work to do as we start the second half. Here's Dan Lonigan.
Goldstein, Nui up a mile again. Brilliant to watch. Great tap to Kerr. That is brilliant footy, but Swallows got him. Kerr tried to get away. Had to get rid of it in a hurry. Tashui also slipped over. 2-on-1 against him. Slips out to Zeeble. Grabs for North on the outer side. Kicks towards half forward. Nothing to kick to. Boundary throw in.
Dan, sorry to interrupt you. Look at that. That's typical, isn't it? He got himself clear, didn't understand that he was 3 metres on the attacking side, just grabbed it and kicked it. There was no method at all.
Inferred pressure, David, I think. Goldstein.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
Rove by Zeeble again. Kicks inside 50 over the head of Glass. Butler's doing a terrific job on Thomas, and it's out of bounds in the forward pocket.
And believe me, that does happen. Blokes actually get possession. They've been hammered
so often and so hard.
They're waiting to get hammered, and they kick quickly and without thinking. Even they've got time and space.
Tapped by Natanui. Rowe by Thomas. Kicks high up in the air in the mine shaft. Hansen in the end couldn't mark. Had to go for the spoil as a defender, where he has played some football. 25 around from North's goal at the Subiaco end of the ground. Yet to kick a goal down at that end. They were goalless at that end in the opening term. The trail by 54 points.
Goldstein and Kerr, the ruckman. The boundary throw-in landed about 5 metres from them. Clearing kick from Butler out to half-back. Big leap from Lynch, and he'll be paid the mark.
Good mark.
Yeah, very good mark.
Lynch turns and moves it on quickly. Darling marks just backward of halfway. Turns and kicks down towards right half forward. Running back is Kennedy. Doesn't get a kind bounce. It's over the boundary line now.
Well, the speed of that spread then, Ken, once it was looking like they were getting, not after they'd taken possession, when it looked like they were getting possession, they took off, could have had 3 clear players.
From the throw-in, Goldstein works his way to the front, down in front of Scott Selwood, taps it back to Embley for the Eagles. Hand pass back to Hearn. Hearn forward to the wing. Low trajectory kick has been marked by Zeeble. Down near his ankles at half-back, uncontested. Oh, he misses the target, going to Wells at centre half-back, slips through his hands. McGinnity grabbed the footy, bumped by Wells, lost possession of it. And away for North Melbourne goes Atley. Loops a hand pass inboard to the run of Harvey. A second bounce. Schofield has to go to him. Sends a hand pass over the top to Petrie. Under pressure. Hand pass to 2 North players in the goal square. Thomas smothers. Hansen kicks the goal. Gee, they made hard work of it, the Roos. But they've got the first goal of the second half. North Melbourne 3-8. They trail West Coast to 11-8. 8 goals the margin. 3 minutes into the third term.
Well, you're right there. That wasn't pretty, but they got the result they wanted, and you'd like to get the first goal on the after half time, particularly when you're coming from where they're coming from. So it was a good effort in the end without being fancy. I just watching Wells there, and I've just looked at his stats. He's had 7 possessions to half time. Wells, he's played like a bloke that's hasn't really played anywhere near the level he was playing at.
Worried about his body, talked about how he was terrified that it was going to go again, etc. So probably gone in with a head that's not mentally set for the task.
But they've got the first goal of the third quarter. Bounce, Goldstein, Natanui tapped it backwards. Pritters couldn't grab it. Tarrant does. His hand pass didn't find the target because Swallow was shoved in the back, and he'll get the free kick just outside the circles. Getting on with it quickly, the skipper for North Melbourne towards half forward. Gaff was hung on to by McMillan. Now he takes the footy, gets tackled, but did want to get a hand pass to Pritis. Pumps it out towards the broadcast wing, but in the way. McMahon for North by hand to McMillan. Now to Atley giving them run. and he pulls his kick cleverly. Mark front edge centre square by Swallow, who continues to work his backside off for North Melbourne. Swallow kicks quickly towards full forward. In front, Mackenzie. Hansen not happy, saying that Glass had kept him out of the contest. There was no support for Hansen, an easy uncontested mark to Eric Mackenzie.
Tarrant needed a fly then.
He did. Third man in, he needed.
Mackenzie's kick out to half-back, marked by Darling. 4 first-half goals for him. Betters his previous effort in a final where he kicked 3 last year against Carlton on this ground. Darling, long down the outer wing. Cox the target. Clever tap behind. Running onto it is Schofield for West Coast. Hampers over the top towards Kennedy. He's away. Closes to 40 out. Kick on goal. And he's got the finish. Kennedy's first in a couple of weeks after going goalless against the Hawks. West Coast get their first of the second half. 12-8. They lead North Melbourne, who are 3-8. 54 points the margin, 5 minutes into the third term.
I guess Ken getting him going. He's the third member of that forward trio other than the 2 ruckmen, who hasn't had a great influence. I've loved the contest within this contest between Kerr and Swallow. That's been head-to-head most of the day. Been a fabulous 2 really great inside players who hurt you on the outside as well. Yes, it's interesting. Darling's got to put up with Ferrito, so he outmarks him every time he comes into the area.
You have to consider the way those 2 goals have been kicked in this quarter. It was a struggling one at one end for North, and then a fluent one at the other end for West Coast. That's been the story of the game.
Cox wins the tap, but it's swept away by Swallow of North to Zeeble on the outer side, but his hand pass is no good. In the way is Prittis. Quick give to Scott Selwood. He had the hand pass blanketed though by Cunnington. Now to Zeeble. Sharing up with Swallow. Continues to work hard around the outer side. Pass is all right. Hansen takes the mark. Opposed to Glass. Right half forward for Lockie Hansen. Kicks close to the boundary. Andrew Swallow's work rate unbelievable.
Well, he's even run his direct opponent Kerr off his feet now, which is
and a nice kick to Campbell, marking all on his own. North Melbourne haven't had that sort of space afforded to them all day. He was about 15 clear, and he marks left half forward.
Is that the first time we've seen that, like 3 consecutive leads, passes, and actually
hit targets and control the ball?
Control the ball.
Yeah.
We've waited till like 5 minutes into the third quarter to actually see a sequence of play where they've controlled the ball.
So Matthew Campbell for North's second goal of the quarter, and he's been successful. So they're 4-8-32. West Coast 12-8-80, 2 goals to 1 in 6.5 minutes on Grandstand AFL in the elimination final from Subiaco Oval.
So he's kicked his second there, Campbell. He's got 2 of their 4. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of opportunities down there. So no. I suppose 2 goals, you'd have to say he's done okay so far. He hasn't had lots of the ball, I know, but he's only had 3 possessions. But he hasn't been down there in any sort of way, shape or form with any structure. So to kick a couple of goals is probably not a bad return so far for Campbell.
Probably what they needed in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the first quarter to get themselves into the game, and it might be happening.
We believe Bo Waters has done his Achilles, and Lynch to be looked at by the match review panel for charging into McMahon in the first quarter. North getting the kick going forward through Zeeble. Bounces to centre half forward. Picked up though by the Eagles through Butler. Gave it straight up. Tarrant's hand pass away to Swallow from 48 out. He's off target. They could have done with that one, North, to kickstart a revival. 12-8 West Coast. North of 4-9. 7.5 minutes into the third term.
19 possessions for Andrew Swallow. Been outstanding this year. Hasn't missed a game for 4 years. Hearn back into play. Measures the kick. Big Cox on the stretch, and he's 250th. Right half back. Another nice inboard pass. Finds the chest of Scott Selwood.
And this is what North should have been doing when they lost control of the game. West Coast are doing it when they just lost control for a few minutes. Slow it down.
He said, I'm going to kick it long to a contest. Underneath it, Hill. Grimer's there. Shrugs the tackle close to the boundary. Kicks towards Cunnington. Beaten by the big man Cox. Now he kicks beautifully. Embley waiting out the back. All on his own. Takes the mark. Has a bounce. Inside 50. Kicks long. Kicks brilliantly. Coast to coast. West Coast Eagles around the outer side. 3 goals to Embley. And they're 13-8-86. They've got all the answers. North Melbourne 4-9-33.
Well, that's where you can roll the dice, can't you? I mean, they're 9 goals in front now, but they're 8 goals in front. how Embley's got clear there is purely he's just gone forward and thought, I'm going to roll the dice here and hope I can get on the end of one. They've won the ball, he's got on the end of it and he's kicked the goal. That's the difference. North were doing that earlier when they were 7 goals behind. West Coast have done it when they're 8 goals in front. There's a bit of difference.
53 points. 4 goals in the first 8 minutes of this term. Umpire McBurney with the cap on this afternoon. To restart play back in the centre. Goldstein and Natanui. Natanui palms it straight down to Kerr. Gets the quick kick away down to half forward. Bouncing footy in front of Hill. Beats he and McMahon and rolls away out towards the 50-metre line. Clever by McMahon, just tapped it back. Here's Atley. Shakes one tackle. Hand pass over to Bastanak. Oh, he's kicked it out of bounds on the full. That's not good. Looking for Zeeble. Daniel Kerr had a fine season to bring the footy back into play. That's ugly too. Turns it straight over. Cunnington marks it half back. Lays it off towards Thompson. Goes across the goal mouth. The mark taken by Gibson in the opposite pocket for North Melbourne.
Ken Casellas, is that right? Bastanak 4 possessions?
Yeah, he's had 6. He's had 3 kicks and 3 effective hand passes.
Well below his season average of 23, and North have turned it over again. They put it out of bounds on the full. And Jacob Brennan's at left half forward to inbound it for West Coast. Kicks it low towards the pocket. Summers in his eyes, but Embley takes the mark. Having a blinder, Andrew Embley, really finding form at the right time. He's right on the boundary though. His heels are on the chalk.
Well, he's a proven finals player, Norm Smith medalist, so he knows the big occasion.
He'll run around, open up the angle for goal number 4. Yes, sirree! And there was no protection from North Melbourne defenders on the goal line. 59 points the margin now. 14-8-92. North of 4-9-33 on grandstand AFL. 11 played, third term.
And Dan, your call was right. There was no protection back on the goal line, but there was no protection inside for the player coming back into the ground. Every right for a North Melbourne 1 or 2 to be on the 5 metre diameter there. Not a single player was there to even put pressure on Embley as he came back inside, let alone on the goal line where it went through below head height. Terrible thinking, direction, teaming, leadership for it not to happen.
The Eagles chant rings around Subiaco Oval. Almost 42,000 in for the elimination final. Zeebel's kick smothered. Swallow tackled by Natanui. Zeeble fights on the back edge of the square. Hand pass looking for Wells. He overran it. Picked up by Shuey. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Oh, almost shepherded through. The kick was off target. Wrong side of the post. Behind for Shuey. West Coast 14-9. North Melbourne a 4-9. A clean 10 goals the margin, 12 minutes into the third term.
Thompson to himself, heads out to the broadcast side. It's a Hearn battle with Tarrant. Free kick, which way? It'll go against Tarrant. He just can't get into this. The opposite 25. Hearn was held on to, and he pulls a lovely kick across the body. Finds the target. McGinnity, the hard-nosed defensive forward. Left half forward. Kicks long towards the goal square. Who's going to mark it? Goldstein. A bit too tall for Darling, who played from behind. And Big Todd marks in front. On the left for North Melbourne. His kick's not bad. Gibson. Been a good pickup as a rookie-listed player this year. Inside pass now to Bastanak. Marking it half back. Heads to the outer side. Swallows there again. Kicks over the top to the running Gibson. Around the outer side for North Melbourne. Draws the man. Gets the hand pass to Harvey. Harvey now has to cut inside. Still under pressure from Lynch. Has to cut inside once more from Kerr. Hand pass a little bit too long for the intended target of Gibson. Looking to try and work his way through, but the Eagles with numbers coming across their path. The hard nut. The junkyard dog. Scott Selwood out of bounds in the forward pocket.
Dave Lindsay is on the boundary.
Robbie Tarrant's been subbed out of the game. Kieran Harper into the game for North Melbourne.
Natanui wins the tap, but straight down to Cunnington. Jams it on the boot. That'll do. North have got their 5th. Cunnington is first. They're still coming from a long way back. 9 goals the margin in favour of the Eagles at the 13-minute mark of the third term. Dave, once more.
Yeah, an update as well on Beau Waters' injury. We believe now it's a foot injury rather than an Achilles tendon injury. He'll be going off for scans this afternoon.
Interesting there, Ken, after that, the 4 West Coast players around that kick all lifted their hands for a touch automatically. When it's instantaneous, not think about it. Appealed to the umpire. He looked at them for a while, actually considered whether he'd send upstairs, cancelled it, and said goal. Interesting. Because whether you like that or not, there have been up until this stage 12 requests that have been wrong, and they've made them right. 12 this year in the competition.
Is that right?
9 goals the margin. West Coast over North Melbourne. Goldstein down towards Swallow. Anthony, hand pass away to Wells, or just lost control of the footy. Clever little soccer from Kerr onto McGinnity, charging through Marston. Puts the Eagles deep towards the top of the goal square. Lynch wrestling with Ferrito. Takes a kind bounce and it'll roll through for a goal.
Not sure.
They'll check to see whether it was touched.
I think it was touched.
Well, Ferrito's not claiming it from the word go. It took a long time to think about it, didn't he? He conceded the result.
Yeah.
If they go back and that's a touch, I'm a Dutchman's uncle.
We're going to go upstairs and have a look. On the video, umpire Jeffrey.
It took too much of a bounce for mine, boys, for it to be not touched. There seemed to be some deflection. It was heading right for it to go straight through the goals.
I'm just watching players, and players are fairly honest when they don't have time to think about it. They raise their hand if they thought. If not, they...
Well, Ferrito didn't have a hand out when you watched that.
Yeah.
So
if anyone's touched it, it's Lynch.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Oh, well, okay. And Lynch's claim... What's Lynch claiming? He wasn't good enough to get a hand on it.
No. And he had the gloves on too.
But he's conceded it though, hasn't he?
He's conceded.
He's standing on the mark, is he not?
Yeah, he's conceded the point because he knows he touched it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Frito's got the footy in his hand in the goal square as well. This will be a goal. Right. Wow.
There you go.
So a goal to Chris Marston. The margin back at 10 goals, the difference. West Coast 15-9. North Melbourne a 5-9. 60 points in favour of the West Coast Eagles. 16 minutes played in the third term. Quick update of the NRL. It's half-time. Elimination final. Canberra 16, Cronulla 6.
So does that revert to the goal umpire's initial decision if they've made the decision upstairs?
If the goal umpire couldn't make the decision, when he has made the decision, it reverts back. He came running out straight away because he couldn't make the decision.
So it's been made from up there.
We're putting Lynchy in the truth chair. We're putting the machine on him during the week and asking him the question.
Down to Dave Lindsay in a second. North Melbourne have made a move as Kerr received the tap from Cox. Kicks inside 50. Overrunning it was Marston. Cleaning up Bastanak. Kicks north to the outer side. Young Brennan gets up. Couldn't quite take the mark. Petrie makes a late spoil. The crumb from Campbell of North. Hand pass now to Harper. Towards Wells. Kicks inside 50. The kick to Thomas was terrible delivery. He couldn't track it. Glass is there to feed a hand pass out. Adam Selwood bunts it out defensively, but they've got numbers everywhere. Hearn pops a little pass to Cox, which didn't go the required distance. The big fellow knew, and he spreads it wide to Marston. Down the outer side, and he hits the chest of Josh Hill, who's been terrific today. Hill will kick it long towards the city end. McGinnity up, makes a good contest, and sees it over the line with Bastanak. Dave, North have made their sub.
Out of the game, fellas, and that means Kieran Harper's into it for the first time this afternoon.
The boundary throw in. Cox palms it down behind, knocked on again by Hill. Back towards Gaff. Quick kick inside the forward 50. All the big fellas are down there. Kennedy couldn't get their hand on it from Darling. That was socket off the deck. Not out of bounds on the full though. We'll have a throw in. About 35 around from the West Coast goal. 10 goals the margin. Goldstein and Cox. Cox had his back to the footy. Goldstein won it down. Campbell, 1-2 hand pass with Cunnington. Back to Campbell. His kick's a turnover. Now taken by Hearn.
I wanted to have a shot.
It is ambitious from out there. That it's a good 70 metres. He'll load up and give it the spiral anyway. See, it's got good legs on it. It'll be touched right on the line. That's a massive bruise for Hearn. Player held up in Atley. Will have a bounce just outside the top of the goal square.
That's what the crowd were getting excited. They're thinking, have a go.
Oh, wow. That's a 70-metre kick.
Oh, it wasn't far away, was it?
Unbelievable.
Paul Viner.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. You can go back a long way.
Classic ball burst of that one. Tapped down by Goldstein. He knocked it almost the wrong way, and it's taken through for a behind by Campbell. Dean Cox saying, forlornly, what about deliberate? Rushing it through for a behind. It's not given. Would have been a brave man who did that. 15-10, 100 West Coast, north of 5-9-39.
It's going to happen, Dan. They're going to change the rule for that.
Into play for Rito. Towards the wing, spills to the back. Hearn the tap. Brennan there does well. Handballs on the up. Adam Selwood shrugs a couple of tackles. Kerr hurries a quick kick off the side of the boot. North have numbers. At half-back, Cunnington towards Wells now. On the broadcast side, he runs into trouble in the form of Embley. Handballs to Campbell. Hand pass no good. Chopped off by Embley. Lazy kick though by Andrew Embley. In the road, Scott Thompson. Now McMahon. Now for Rito. And running off half-back, receiving the footy is McMillan. Gets the screen as he runs through the middle with a couple of bounces. Kicks to half-forward. Petrie marks on his knees. A hand pass to Harvey. The old firm combining. He's got an open goal to look at, Boomer. Big Ruth from 55. And North keeps scoring goals, but can't stop the West Coast from scoring his second. They're 6-9-45, and the Eagles are 15-10, 100. 19 gone third quarter.
Just that last time they went to come out of defence here, North, when they played on from full back, Darling went across the bloke, and as he went past him, he missed him. The bloke changed direction. He just felt for his hamstring a bit, and I reckon he strained his hammy here. The next time he's gone to go for the ball here, he's gone down and grabbed his hammy. I reckon he's done his hammy. Other than that, he's got a cramp in it, but I think he might have done a hammy.
Well, they better get him off then.
Well, he is. He's off. He's laying on the ground. They've just taken him off.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he grabbed for it. He grabbed for it in a small way, and then when the next contest he went to, he grabbed for it in a big way. So he's either cramped up badly or he's strained his hammy.
Back in the middle, Natanui and Goldstein. Goldstein first hands in the footy. Natanui had it, then lost it. Zeeble, clearing kick for North Melbourne. Out towards half forward. Oh, slight fumble from right. Socket away by Embley. Picked up by Thomas, though, for North at half forward. Kicks inside the attack in 50. Strong mark from Hansen. One-on-one with Glass.
Gee, they'd want to hope he hasn't done a hammy.
Chips inside the forward pocket. Outstretched is Petrie. Already lost Waters with what looks to be a serious foot injury. More to follow on that in the post-match.
Structurally, they can keep it pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's the best informed player
amongst
the lot.
He's been fantastic today.
Fantastic today. They lose an enormous amount without him.
Drew Petrie having his best season in front of the sticks with 57 goals. This is a tough one in the right forward pocket. Pressed right up against the boundary line. That's a great kick, though. Terrific kick from Drew Petrie. And they're back within 50 points at least. It's 49 now, the margin. West Coast to 15-10. North Melbourne a 7-9. Petrie with his first of the afternoon. 21 played, third term.
I like the positivity there, Corby. They're back within 50.
Yeah, I thought I'd find something for the Shimbona fans, Judgy.
Well, they're winning the quarter.
Well, they are. But they needed to win it by a fair bit to get back in this game.
So a real shootout this quarter. 5 goals to 4 in favour of the Kangaroos. We know they can score quickly. They've been a free scoring team this year. On just over the West Coast. But they might have some injury concerns. Natanui climbs high again, as does Kerr to take it. Down towards Scott Selwood, who fends off tackles, but handball straight to right of North Melbourne. High left footer by Sam Wright. Petrie looking to attack it. Zeeble comes the other way. Good contest. Slips to Kerr. Feeds over the top to Natanui. Taps in the direction of Kerr. Natanui streaming by. Couldn't take it with him. Goldstein's in the middle of the ground. Collected by Cunnington. Heard the voice of Anthony. Got it to him, and then he is absolutely crunched as Kerr was off the play. And there'll be a bounce outside the centre square on the outer wing. West Coast 15-10, 100. North Melbourne is 7-9, 51, 22 in the third term. Subiaco Oval. Natanui the tap. Prittis the clearance. His hand pass in the direction of Shuey. Going the wrong way. Got tackled. Back to Prittis again. Rides, bumps, bursts his way through cleverly. Hand pass was a bit untidy. Embley couldn't control it. And Prittis tries to lay a tackle on Cunnington and does succeed. Cunnington gets affected. And then Prittis goes to ground as he shoved in the back note. And it'll be bounced attacking side, centre circles for West Coast. Outscored this quarter, but only just 15-10, 100. North 7-9, 51.
Darling up and pacing the boundary. A bounce inside the centre square. Goldstein down towards Cunnington. Hand pass picked off by Embley. Threw his head back. Will he get a free kick? He will. It's by the non-controlling umpire that spotted it. Umpire Jeffrey. Inside the circles is Embley. Out to Marston. He's about 10 metres on his direct opponent. McMillan marks it half forward. Kicks inside the attack in 50. Cox deep on the goal line. slips through his hands and out of bounds. A throw in alongside the right hand behind post.
He's a worry, darling. He's got up and he stretched at his hammy a couple of times. He's grabbed the left hammy a couple of times while he's been having a stretch. So, just don't know. It might be a bit of a strain.
Goldstein from the back. Palms it down. Fumble from Embley. Picked up by Wells. Gets around a couple. Sold some candy to dodge Marston. Kicks up the ground alongside the circles. Thomas couldn't mark. Plenty of Eagles getting back in support. One of them, Butler. Under pressure now from Gibson. Gibson slides in, grabs the footy, taken high. Free kick to Sam Gibson. Actually grew up in Western Australia. Spent his first 6 years here.
No, you're wrong, Sorry.
Over the mark was.
Yeah, he said he was
Glass.
over the mark, but he didn't go back off the mark. He kicked it sideways, and the player from where he was standing the mark, the captain, was able to, Darren Glass, to lean down and put a half smother on. Brought about by the player with the ball not getting back off the mark.
Yep.
I think that was a really rough 50. I'm all for not allowing things, but that was caused by the ball player, not the ball on the mark.
His first game at Subiaco. Oh, and he's missed. That is a bad miss from there. 25 out directly in front.
The footy, you've got to remember, boys, the footy gods were right. The footy gods are here, and he didn't deserve what he got, so that's why he got a point. You've got to understand that in this religious.
Yeah. 8 goals the margin, 25 minutes into the third term. Dave Lindsay on the boundary.
Jack Darling's just gingerly walked his way back out on the ground. He's had probably 4 or 5 minutes of massage on his hamstrings, and Judge is spot on. The body language suggests he's not 100% confident in the hamstring at the moment.
Hearn. Nice pass to Glass, the 3-time All-Australian. Bangs it long towards the outer side. Petrie, the best man in position to mark for North. Swings it inside for Swallow. Misses him.
Swallow.
Brennan's there. Cuts his way through. Handballs to Natanui. It's a bit high for him. It won't matter. Mick Nat can get a hand pass towards Lynch. Lynch now on the right. There's a massive kick. It's an open goal by Big Q. But getting back and reading it nicely for North Melbourne, Scotty Thompson. Heads it out towards the broadcast side. Nice kick. And the mark taken by Gibson. He feeds over the top now to Swallow. Got confronted. Handballs inside to right. Sharing it with Wells. Harper all in front of our commentary position. Towards right half forward. Over the head of Glass. Gets back with Campbell. Campbell's a bit quicker than him. Glass with him again. Good body work by Glass to paddle it through for a rush behind.
Oh, it's a hold. Free kick to North.
Oh, is there much in that?
Well, you wouldn't see it from here, Darren, I don't think, but the umpire's quite convinced that he had him by the wrist while they were running along. Guess he can see what we can't, but no, it didn't look too much in the lead.
He did grab him there when you see that in replay. Grabbed him by the arm.
Our favourite umpire, Ken D. Margetts, was out on the field. We've just had a little altercation between Wright and McGinnity, but they're okay now.
There's a history there, boys. Campbell in the right forward pocket towards the Subiaco end. The North 6th goal of the quarter. His 3rd goal of the match, and he succeeds. So North having a good patch here. Close as they've been. 42 points.
Now,
you never know. 8-10-58 to 15-10-100.
The question is, Ken, is it happening because of what North are doing now and weren't doing, or have, in fact, West Coast just lifted their foot a bit off the accelerator?
I think they've taken off the accelerator
So
a bit.
do I.
And North are now getting a bit more space, and their spread's starting to come into play a bit. And I said if they could get 6 goals in this quarter, but they didn't need to allow West Coast to kick 4.
Oh, you said 2.
That's right. Give them a couple. You kick 6, you might be.
So it's 6-4 this quarter. Is that the right scoring? 6-4.
Yep.
Which, where they were, is a reasonable response, isn't it?
Hasn't been as close as this since North kicked their first goal. Restart in the centre. Cox palms it straight down, but sharked away by Zeeble. Kicks away towards half forward once more. Knocked on by Gibson out towards the half forward line. Brennan the sub in his first final, the only Eagle in his first final today. Hand pass away to Gaff, kicks along the boundary line, reaching over the top. Ferrito, good grab, hands it inboard to Zeeble, getting a bit of the footy now, down towards half forward. Big fly from the back was Petrie, couldn't take the mark. Gaff in front, held off it. Now out towards Gibson, kick smothered. Brennan comes away with the footy. The Eagles have got plenty of numbers alongside him, but not much downfield. He spots Kennedy and takes the mark outstretched.
Great kick, young Jacob. Monkey's little boy. Handballs out wide now to Shuey. Shuey on the left. Measured pass is a ripper. Running onto it, Darling. This will test the hammy. Pops it up towards centre half forward. 2-on-1 for Adam Selwood. Coming across Harvey. Grabbing in the back pocket. Gets tackled. Well tackled by McGinnity. Great pressure by McGinnity. Adam Selwood's there again. Can't get a hand pass out. Got taken down from behind. And there should be a bounce. 25 out from West Coast goal at the City end.
Well, he moved all right that time, Darling, so perhaps it was a cramp.
He had to go, didn't he?
He had to go.
Open
Extend,
up, so it extended. Yeah. It's a good sign.
6 goals to 4 for North this quarter, but the margin's still 42 points West Coast way. Cox the tap. Cunnington was held by Prittis, who'll take the free kick. Left back pocket for North.
The spread's not, isn't it? They're just anxious. No one's going anywhere, and it's just not happening.
Cunnington, one of 13 roos in his first final. Back to McMahon, and he kicks out towards half-back. The Roos move it on quickly. Now taken by Cunnington. A kick from Thompson. Cunnington goes to centre half-back. Here's Anthony. And Liam Anthony will go across the ground once more. Now taken by Bastanak. Working it up the field very slowly. Short to Hansen. A nice goal already in this third quarter, in which the Roos have kicked 6. Short back to Anthony. Most games in a single season this year. Now playing his 19th for 2012. Longer centre half forward. Petrie couldn't take the mark. Knocked away from him by McKenzie. Picked up by Marston. Hand pass away to Gaff. Put McKenzie under pressure. Coming through his Kerr. Hand pass on to Adam Selwood. Now away to Marston. Has it at half back for West Coast. Down the outer wing. Hill marking. Kicked 1 already today. Turns and kicks down to half forward. Darling, who's got 4. Watching his hamstrings very closely in this second half. Grimer wins the footy though for North. Gave it away towards Wells. Gets through a bit of traffic and then turns it over. Swallow lost his footing at the crucial moment. Shuey out to meet it. Kicks into oncoming traffic and Bastanak wins the ball at half-back for the Roos.
Not a great passage of play to the outer side. Cox up. Couldn't take the mark. North fisted on. Foot race between Butler and Harper. Butler tracks it to the boundary. And it's he's been penalised. Oh, come on, he didn't have control of it. How can you give that as a free kick? Harper, in the end, maybe justice again, David. The footy gods are smiling. Marston takes the mark at half-back.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous decision.
Gaff short to Marston. Marston goes towards the outer wing. He's Shuey. On the main wearing wing for West Coast. Out towards Kennedy. Marking between wing and half forward. He'll kick in the Darling direction, caught at the back. Edges McMahon underneath the footy. That could almost be a little dangerous. Getting back is Thompson. Sockers it through his defensive goal for a rush behind. West Coast 15 goals, 11. North 8-10. Watch this again on the replay.
Well, he sort of tunnelled him.
I don't reckon you can actually artificially produce a tunnelling effect.
Scott Thompson shorts it to Atley in the right back pocket at the City end. He kicks the half back flank. Petrie up, late spoil by McKenzie, who's done a great job on him. Comes out to Ferrito. Now in the direction of Gibson. Set sail for North to half forward. Petrie mistimed it completely. Slips to the back to Glass. Again the custodian in defence. Does everything right with a nice hand pass to Prittis. Goes wide to Gaff. Gaff on the left. Kicks inside 50. Chance there for Josh Hill. Couldn't track it completely. Somehow keeps it alive. He gets punched close to the boundary. I think it was Siebel, David. The oncoming truck. Ferrito's kick was awkwardly smothered. Goes over the boundary inside attacking 50. They're forward. Pressure as usual. West Coast exemplary.
Siebel's unbelievable. He uses that head. He must have steel from the back of his cranium to the front of his forehead. He just batters with it.
West Coast by 43. 33rd minute now of this third quarter. Run down from behind McMillan. Loose ball picked up by Shuey. Hand pass away to Gaff. Smothered by Grimer. Then banged into the chest of Hill on the ricochet. Shuey gathers again at half forward. Hand pass back to Prittis. Kicks to the hot spot. Kennedy one-handed. Couldn't mark. Picked up by Bastanak. Has it at the top of the defensive goal square. Hand pass away to Anthony. Clearing kick out towards Harper. At the drop of the foot, he takes the mark. The sub, he kicked 4 last week against the Giants. Gets around Adam Selwood. 2 bounces. Now a third. Through the centre of Subiaco. Kicks inside the attacking 50. Thomas there trying to go one-on-one with Butler. The siren beats the pair of them. And a better showing from North Melbourne. In this third quarter, they kicked 6 goals, but allowed West Coast to kick 4 of their own, and still a handy 43-point buffer for the home side. And they'll be counting the cost of what the day will entail as far as the spot fires around the place. There's a bit of wrestling going on. Dave Lindsay is across it all.
Yeah, Daniel Kerr was knocked over by Boomer Harvey, and Adam Selwood has run about 100 metres to get across to let him know about it as well. So Kerr's been knocked off the ball a few times this afternoon behind the plate.
Thanks, Dave. And the emergency umpires are out there. The two teams only starting to be separated now after that minor melee.
Well, it's a minor melee, but if the camera down the ground is doing its job, it will get it. It was off the play incident that's knocked in rotten, unnecessary, and the players from West Coast knew it and saw it, those in the vicinity, and have remonstrated as soon as the game stopped with the siren. They were all over and gave it to Harvey.
Bit of frustration, very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I think it is. Bit of frustration.
So it is three-quarter time here. West Coast 15-11-101. North Melbourne 8-10-58. 43 points the margin. Bo Waters was subbed out in the second term with what we believe is a serious foot injury. We'll have more on that at the end of our broadcast. We'll be on for about half an hour post-game after the final siren with the full wrap from the West Coast Eagles rooms. Meanwhile, Quinton Lynch, sure to be looked at by the match review panel. And Jack Darling, I'm watching his hamstrings pretty closely. He's come off a couple of times and had some treatment. May have just been cramp. He did return and sprinted in parts, but we'll watch that again through this final term. The goal kickers to three-quarter time. First of all for West Coast, 4 apiece to Darling and Embley, and then singles, Shuey, McKenzie, Kennedy, Lynch, Hill and McGinnity. Meanwhile for North Melbourne, 3 to Campbell, 2 to Brent Harvey, singles to Hanson, Cunnington and Petrie. It is three-quarter time. It's the West Coast Eagles 15-11. They lead North Melbourne 8-10 by 43 points. This is Grandstand AFL. Canberra Stadium. It's the Raiders 16. They lead Cronulla 10. Todd Carney off the field with a serious ankle problem. That's in the NRL. Here at Subiaco Oval, the elimination final. The Eagles by 43 points as we head into the final term.
Probably North's last quarter of the season. Big smash by Natanui. Shuey wrestles it away from his opponent. Has a bounce. The breakaway of Shuey inside 50, and he doesn't finish. Misses to the right-hand side. Brilliant to watch. Just the finishing needed just a little bit of polishing. 15-12, 102 to 8-10, 58.
Get the highlight tape of Natanui's centre bounce stuffed up today. It's worth watching on its own.
Thompson to bring the footy back into play. We'll go to Ken Casellas with a few of the major stats after the next goal. Long kick out towards halfback. Punched away by Glass. Picked up by Wright. Hand pass out towards Bastanak. Kicks around the body towards Hanson. And he's going to be paid. Another free kick. A bit ginger to get back to his feet as well. Side down by 44 points. They conceded the first 9 goals of the game before they hit the scoreboard themselves. Goes all the way back to Thompson at the top of the defensive goal square. He goes out to the opposite flank. Here's Anthony. Short kick to McMahon. Misses. Awkward half volley. He overran it, as did Darling. At the back for the Roos is Anthony. Hand pass away to Fredo. Now they're in trouble. Goes on a bit of a run. Kennedy the other direction. He run down. The umpire's going to allow them to keep playing. Loose footy picked up by Lynch. Hand pass away towards Hill for the Eagles. Across the body, inside 50. Bounces at centre half forward. Right knocked it away towards Bastanak. Hand pass over the top to Harper. He's tackled and held up. The umpire call for a bounce.
Lucky to get out of that.
Yeah.
Lucky to get out of that.
Forward pressure is still enormous from the West Coast Eagles. It's like they're trying to find a way to hit the front. They're miles in front. Bounce at centre half forward. Natanui beaten by Goldstein. Crumb by Zeeble. Kicks it sideways and very high in the air. Trying to track it Atley. With him is Hill. It does go out of bounds. 65 metres around from West Coast goal at the Subiaco end. 15-12, 102 West Coast. North Melbourne 8-10, 58.
Boundary throw in. Goldstein to the front. Won the tap. Natanui, though, comes up with the footy at half forward. Hand pass inside the forward pocket. Lynch tried to knock it back to a couple of Eagles running through. They both missed it. Zeeble turns around, kicks out of the defensive 50. Here's Swallow marking at half back. Goes along the line. Out of reach of Harper. Hearn trying to just hold Thomas off it, and it's out of bounds. We'll have a throw in on the outer wing.
That's why I reckon Zeeble's had about 9 kicks today on the turn, just grabbed it and kicked. I reckon that's the first one that's landed in one of his teammates' arm.
Back into play, Natanui and Goldstein. Third man up, Glass. Shark by Wells. cornered. A hand pass to Harvey, getting booed. Don't know why. Kicks to half forward, I suppose, because they can. Slips to Petrie on the left. Kicks north inside 50. Thomas and Brennan. Neither can get a punch on it. Heads to the back. Glass is there. Tracks it. And then he delivers back to the goal scorer, and Embley, who's been outstanding today, marking in the defensive goal scorer at the City end. 2006 Norm Smith medalist. Good pass to Marston, drilling him on the chest. Become a good player now, Chris Marston. And a foot pass to Scott Selwood. 63rd game in a row. Spreading it wide to Gaff. They're on the run. He's on the Chris Mayne wearing wing, Andrew Gaff. Making it his own here at Subiaco. On the left, kicks inside 50. Thompson knocks away from Cox. There's going to be a free kick. Umpire deeming, I thought it was good body on body from both players. Umpire McInerney in the white cap. He has deemed that Cox got a raw deal there. It's his free kick at left half forward.
I thought it was fantastic to get round, get up, back of his left hand on the ball, hit it up and mark it. I would have given Thompson the mark with an incredible agility and ability to do so. But anyway, obviously he was doing something.
He's pulled his other arm.
He has, actually.
Yeah, that's one we couldn't see.
Yeah, that's right. Definite free kick. Sorry, listeners.
They've got 9 individual goal kickers, West Coast. Cox isn't one of them yet, but 26 for the season. Dean Cox is now. Lovely long goal by the champion ruckman in his 250th game. 16-12, 108 West Coast. They'll be marching on to take on Collingwood at the MCG. North Melbourne, the season will end today, 8-10-58. We better see if Ken can give us some of those important stats. Ken?
Three-quarter time. Let's have a look. Andrew Emblew had 19 disposals. Dean Cox had 11, 14 to Shuey, 18 to Gaff, 14 to Glass, 16 to Selwood Scott, 17 to Matt Prudis. Andrew Swallow had 22, 22 to Zeeble, 10 to Harvey, 9 to Hanson, 9 to Sean Attlee, 12 to Daniel Wells, 10 to Scott McMahon, 11 to Drew Petrie, and Scott Thompson 15.
Restart back in the centre. Cox, first hands on the footy. Here's Swallow again, knocked it away off ground level. Someone's lost a boot in the middle. Goldstein kicks down to centre half forward. The only man there, though, is Butler. Takes the saving mark at half back for the Eagles. Short to Prentice. Prentice to the outer wing. Scott Selwood marking on the logo. Chips the kick. Over the top to Shuey. They're on the overlap here, West Coast. Hand pass away towards Lynch from 55. Off a step. Tries to go all the way. Big fly from Natanui. Gee, landed awkwardly. There's a couple of Eagles in the forward pocket that'll pick up the ball. Gathered by Schofield. Centering pass is good to Kennedy. He's still slow to get up. He's Darling right on the goal line. And he's reaching for that left hamstring again, Judgy.
I think this is a decision I can't understand.
Need to get him off, don't they?
Well,
of course they do.
Well, I wouldn't have put him back on the first place. Any question at all. He's got up now.
He's stretching again.
Limping quite. Just out, hoist him.
Could be counting the cost today, the West Coast Eagles. Lynch to be looked at by the match review panel. An injury to Waters and Darling. But they're on song up front. Kennedy's got his second. They've kicked a massive score today. 17 goals already at the 6-minute mark of the final term. 17-12. They lead North Melbourne, who are 8-10. It's all West Coast. They're through to play the Pies next Saturday.
Yeah, well, look, I'm with you, David. He's stretching there. He's kicking again with the left leg. I would just absolutely...
I'm not a medic.
No. I understand neither of us are, but the one thing I can tell you is the bloke's obviously not right, whether it be cramp or not. Get him off.
He's indicating to everybody. We only know because what he's doing
his
on
body
the ground.
language.
His body language, I just find that remarkable.
Been far too good today, the West Coast Eagles, continuing their recent dominance over North. It'll be 4 wins in a row. Goldstein the tap, and Cunnington spins out of a couple of tackles and kicks long inside 50. Hanson there. Glass did well to tip it to the back. It's cleared out of defence by Scott Selwood to Marston. Scott received from Adam, and Marston runs around the broadcast side with a couple of bounces, and then he finds Kennedy in a training run, getting miles away from his opponent. He marks it right half forward.
Well, who was his opponent? Can anyone tell me? I couldn't find a North Melbourne player that was free down there. All the other North Melbourne players had a West Coast Eagles forward they were picking up, and there was no one picking up Kennedy.
Had to be Grimer, but I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know where he was. He got lost.
Adam Selwood's coming off 2 with the blood rule.
Yeah, it's Grimer, but you're right. It's not hard for him to find. He's the same number as the bloke he's playing on. It would be easy to find him, isn't it?
Well, you think so, yeah.
Scintillating footy around this broadcast side. Northern side of Subiaco Oval. Josh Kennedy right behind this for 2 goals in a couple of minutes. The hop, the skip, the Flintstone jump from 45 metres. Gee, that's effective. That's squeezed in again. I mean, it's a very awkward delivery, isn't it, when he's coming in to kick? But it is the end result that's important. 3 to Kennedy, 16 for the season, and the lead now just keeps piling for the West Coast Eagles. 18-12, 120 to 8-10, 58. And it's out past 60 points, 62 points. Dave Lindsay on the boundary.
Umpire Scott Jeffrey was having a chat with Brent Harvey after Adam Stewart came off with the blood rule, so probably more continuation of that little scuffle that happened at the end of the third term.
Well, they've finally taken our boy off, and the doctor's speaking to him earnestly and asking him questions. So maybe say, how do I convince my grandson that he shouldn't follow Kennedy's kicking? He just keeps kicking him, boy. Yeah, that's the style.
Well, that's right.
It's out to 62 points. Cox won the tap. Swallow picks up the footy though for North, out in front of McMillan. Closed down by Scott Selwood, jams it on the boot quickly inside the attacking 50, and there's plenty of Eagles back. Butler marks uncontested. 30 out from his defensive goal line. Oh, short to Prittis, reels in the one-hander. Hand pass out towards half-back. Here's Scott Selwood. Chips the kick over to Marston. Marston will go back to Butler. Of course, a premiership player back in 2006 for the West Coast Eagles.
Had a lot of injuries, Corbin, but he can play.
Yep, played just 51 of the last possible 137 games, so he's missed 86 since that premiership victory in 06. Glass goes short to Wembley, knocked away from him by Anthony. Here's Harvey, picks up and he's off target. Gets the Bronx cheer from the Eagles fans. Misses out to the right. Behind North Melbourne 8-11, 59. West Coast 18-12, 120. 61 points in favour of the home side. 10 minutes into the final term.
Here's Butler again, marking in the back pocket on the northern side. Done a wonderful job on Lindsay Thomas today and had a fair bit of the footy too. In short, and Brennan has come on, made a couple of mistakes early, but has got into the tempo of it in his first final. His father, a wonderful dual premiership player for West Coast at fullback. And he squares it up. You give a guy a rap and he produces a bad one. Intended for Glass, he misses it. Harvey receives the hand pass from Swallow and he goes bang, Harvey, to kick his third. 9-11, 65 North. It's still West Coast by 55, 18-12, 120, 11 gone.
That's the knock on him, isn't it, Brennan? He's a reasonable decision maker, but not a great kick. That was a terrible directional kick that beat his own man by 10 metres and lobbed in the vicinity of three North Melbourne blokes who shouldn't have even been able to get access.
I just think sometimes he gets ahead of himself with his footy. Yep. His father played with a very straight bat, didn't concede anything. The young bloke backs himself in, tries to run off, doesn't have sometimes skill level lets him down, as happened there, and just makes the odd bad decision.
So 3 for Harvey. 18-12, plays 9-11. Cox won it down to Gibson. Kick across the body down towards half forward. Bounces off the shins of Petrie. Couldn't bend down to pick it up. Taken away by his teammate though, Thomas. Away to Swallow. Kicks inside 50. An awkward bounce up into the midriff of Hansen. Works out okay for North. Campbell kicks across the body. Trying to skid it through on the line was Harper. Came off Hearn's boot for a rush behind. North Melbourne moves to 9-12. West Coast to 18-12. So 9 goals the margin at the 12-minute mark of the final term.
Brennan receives in the back pocket. Can he use the football a bit better this time? Northern side of the ground. Kicks towards the wing. Plenty of distance. If Cox is there, you're always a chance. But North Melbourne will get a free kick for off the play. After Cox had marked, Drew Petrie, the opposite number 20, will take it. Stabs the pass now to half forward to Wright. Wright plays on. Hooks it high. Looking for Hansen to run onto it. Pushed out of it by Hearn, allowing Prittis to collect. Gets tackled, but does well to slip a hand pass to Kerr. Avoiding tackles at half back, left, right and centre for West Coast. Kicks off the side of the boot, and it was touched, but running onto it, Gaff. Feeds a hand pass in the middle to McGinnity. McGinnity does well too to avoid opponents. He kicks West Coast inside 50. Natanui on the lead. Terrific. Every time he gets near it, the crowd rises.
You're right. You wouldn't be telling his opponent when you were playing them until 5 minutes before you run out, I reckon. You take Nat. He wouldn't sleep for a week if you told him on Tuesday.
Kick number 2 for Nick Natanui coming up.
A lot of hit outs. That's his go.
20.
Unbelievable. Slightly left of centre half forward. On the 50. Long and high and an accurate. Behind 18-13, 1-2-1 West Coast. Lead 55. Nearly 14 gone last quarter. The crowd here are seeing West Coast destroy North, who are 9-12-66.
Funnily enough, Cox has had 27.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Short to Atley. Decides to play on and take on Gaff. And now McGinnity gets away from him at half-back. Handpass puts his teammate in Gibson under pressure. He was tackled without it. Dave Lindsay on the boundary.
I guess he's come back on, boys. Jack Darling's back out there. He was grimacing as he ran back out on the field, but he's still out there looking for another goal.
Very brave.
Gibson hand pass away to Bastadak. Feeds one further out wide to Thompson. Kicks into vacant space. Bounces out of bounds. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for North Melbourne. Staring down the barrel of another hefty finals defeat. They've lost 4 of their last 5 finals by an average margin of 13 goals. From the throw in, Cunnington. Hand pass away under pressure to Gibson. Now Zeeble. Still at half forward. Picked up by Lynch. Taken away though by Marston. Hand pass to Prittis. Goes for a run along the boundary line. Couple of bounces. Draws the player. Hand pass over the top to Gaff. He can have 2 more bounces. Runs beyond the wing. Kicks inside 50. Natanui lace out. Takes the mark.
Beautiful football.
They've just got one of the things that Gaff just gets away with a bit with West Coast. They tend to target a few of the other midfielders. He's a very, very good user of the ball, Gaff, and he finds space. And he can really hurt sides with those foot skills like he just did then.
Magnificent.
Nick Natanui, the most recognisable man in town, on his way in from 45 metres out, and he kicks truly. Natanui adds his name to the long list of goal kickers at West Coast. The dominant showing this afternoon. They've cleaned up North in the elimination final. 19-13, 127. North Melbourne 9-12-66. 16 minutes into the final term. Dave Lindsay.
Jack Zeeble's just come off the ground complaining of cramp in the groins. He's going through a pretty strenuous stretching exercise at the moment with 3 trainers.
Well, that's their 11th goal kicker, West Coast, so they've spread the load pretty well there.
Fantastic.
But, they've had Embley and Darling have both had 4 and Kennedy 3, but the rest are singles, so they've shared the load. And that's something they needed to do, I suppose, when you lost a fellow like Lacroix, who's a 50-goal-a-year player, and then had so much time without Kennedy this year as well, so that's a good return.
And Nikoski too, Ken, who was so good last year. Goldstein the tap. Shark by Marston. Good clearance for West Coast again. To Embley. Runs onto it, then hooks around the body quickly. A bit blindly in the end. It'll be tracked by the Kangaroos. And sweeping on it is Bastanaki. Kicks towards the wing. Pitching better for Butler, who taps it down cleverly on the northern wing to Prittis, who works his way through cleverly. Handballs to Butler, who ran on. He kicks inside 50. Natanui's there. Darling had slipped over in his path. And it's punched away by Natanui. His opponent, Thompson, looked like he was leaning into him and may have gotten his back, but the umpire said no. Out of bounds right on attacking 50. Cox, I should say Lynch to do the ruck work this time. Taps it down. Taken by Gibson, who's collared late by a shoey tackle, forcing the kick to be effected out of bounds on the full. Adam Selber with the head bandage. Back inside 50. The tall timberer there. Cox brings it to ground. And it's gathered by Cunnington. Has to handball into more trouble in the form of Atley. Got rid of it in a hurry while being tackled. He handballed defensively and he was accosted left, right and centre. Handball beside the behind post at the Subiaco end. The lead, 61 points for the Eagles.
And the throw in, reaching for the back. Goldstein straight down to Marston. He's missed from 10 metres out. Getting across to close him down was McMahon. Just put Marston off a little and his kick was the wrong side of the post. Behind for the Eagles. 19-14 to 9-12, 62 the spread. 17 and a half minutes into the final term.
Anthony receives, kicks to the wing. Petrie had it fisted away by McKenzie, who's been disciplined today. Hearn sweats on it, swoops on it, picks it up. He's a massive kick from 70. It's an open goal! Great goal, Shannon Hearn. What a hoof he has. He deserved that goal. He's cleaned up all day and he's decided to cash in. 12th West Coast goal kicker in his 50th consecutive game. Their 2014 1-3-4. North Melbourne wiped away today, 9-12-66.
I love that. He let it go probably 65 to 70 out. Knew it when he had it in the air. By the time we looked back to see where he was to check the distance, he was in the square. He'd made about 15 or 20 metres back to make it look like gone 85 metres. And it was a delay. Didn't jump it. He just hit it perfectly with a drop punt, not a torpedo. Wonderful thing to watch skill like that.
Sixth time this year that the Eagles have kicked 20 goals or more in a game. Goldstein in the middle, won the tap, down to Swallow. Here's Zeeble, tackled by his opposite number. Got a kick away. Kerr leading in the chase for the footy. Picks up, hand pass forward to Scott Selwood. Hand pass back to Kerr, just dumps it down to the half-forward line. Gathered here by Cox. Waves away the would-be tackler in Bastanak. Out to Shuey. Kicks long on goal. Needs a kind Shepherd. Touched right on the line and helped through off the boot of McMahon. A behind for the Eagles. So the margin out to 69 points. Dave on the boundary.
Jack Darling's returned to the physio, Matt, getting more work on his troublesome hamstrings, and surely this time he'll sit out the last 2 minutes of the game.
You'd hope so, Dave. Thompson takes the mark. As far as West Coast is concerned, they need him next week to add to the multi-prongness, if that's an expression or word, of their forward line. Thompson kicks to the wing, blinches up, he couldn't mark it. At the fall, numbers everywhere. Hearn bursting through, tried to burst through too many, lost control of it. Slips to Swallow, who spiral punts it, just landing on the line, attacking side of the wing on this northern side. So another hefty loss, as Corbin mentioned, for West Coast in a finals campaign for them. Young side though, hopefully they'll learn from this. Kerr receives from Lynch and then handballs inside after beating tackles to the running Brennan. Kicks off the side of the boot and just puts it inside the boundary, bouncing on attacking 50. Just again, Ken, to use your example before, went a bit too quickly.
Well, yeah, just shocking kick.
Oh, he's embarrassed. He's looking for somewhere to hide.
Eagles by 69. Cox straight down to Cunnington. His kick smothered though by Scott Selwood. Leading back in the chase is Thompson. Closed down. Hand pass to Cunnington. Back to Thompson for North. Hand pass over the top to Harper. He pulled out with Cox coming in the other direction. And off hands, the ball's out of bounds.
He put Zeeble down then, Cox.
I think Cox saw him come in. Zeeble saw him come in and fell over.
Cox tips it to the back. Big Lynch ropes. He's another big kick from 65. He launches long. Natanui, nearly a screamer off hands behind.
The athleticism, because he was knocked and bullocked. He didn't really have a good jump. Virtually took directly up at the ball. Got there clean.
70 points the margin for West Coast.
North work it out of defence. McMillan hand pass away to right. Kicks down the northern wing. Looking to try and find Hansen. Edged underneath it. Hearn for the Eagles. Hand pass away to Cox. He'll come inboard with a kick and marked by Prittis. Off to Lynch. Thought about loading up. Closed down. So he kicks across the half forward line. Gaff out after it. Hangs it inside the field of play. Hand pass back to Shuey. Over to Adam Selwood from 50. His kick smothered by Harvey. In the back pocket, picked up by McMillan for North Melbourne. Away to Zeeble. Out towards Petrie. Getting across McKenzie. He punches it out of bounds. A throw in between wing and half forward for West Coast.
See, some of those defenders have done wonderful blanketing jobs on the better North forwards. McKenzie on Petrie for mine, and the job Butler's done on Thomas. Kerr receives another tap. Handballs to Prittis. Kicks to half forward. Embley at the drop. Will handball inside. The Q stick's close enough now to hook around the body and goal. 25 out. Kicks his second. Oh, it's a procession. They're outscored in the third quarter. Not outscored in this final quarter. 6 goals to 1 so far. 21-16, 1-4-2. North Melbourne 9-12-66.
Well, the big fella, Ken, he turned. He didn't see Shuey standing on his own 30 metres clear in the goal square. He just went for it and fortunately kicked the goal, because Shuey would have been absolutely
filthy.
Right
to be filthy on him, Yeah, well, they're filling their boots now, aren't they?
Oh, it's been, and it's dominant. And you can say, is it I was talking about having it so easy, etc. But they're playing with a confidence and an understanding or a cohesion, whatever you like to call it, that's second to none. It's just been terrific.
North have been whacked out at Subi this afternoon. Goldstein won the tap. North away with an advantage applied. There was a free kick off the play. So Harper long towards the top of the goal square. Out to meet at his glass. Punches the ball away from Wells. Flashed in and out of the game. His Butler had set a half back. Goes out wide to Lynch. Cunnington picks it off for the Roos. Just loads up and kicks long towards the hot spot. Petrie down there from the back. Hearn marks strongly.
Let's kick a goal.
Have a shot.
Have a shot.
Friday night semi-final between Adelaide and Fremantle. West Coast will play Collingwood next Saturday night at the G. Long to Butler alongside the centre circles. Hand pass out to Pritters. Kicks to half forward. Misjudged at Campbell. Mark taken by Schofield. Goes for goal. He's off target. Behind. Missing to the right-hand side. West Coast 21-17, 1-4-3, North 9-12-66.
Bit like a training session, David, where you're just putting token pressure on. You know, one side you want to have the ball, and the other side you've got to put a bit of token pressure on them.
Moving witches' hands.
That's right.
Thompson in short to Atley. Threads a hand pass to Grimer, who runs into trouble and has to go backwards to Thompson, standing still on the 2-metre defensive goal square. He kicks very wide to the outer side, and Gibson had his attempt at a mark spoilt by Scott Selwood. Boundary throw-in.
You talked about Hearn's goal, but his kick out of defence then down the middle of the corridor, the bloke running onto it towards goals, as good as you can get.
Yep.
Cox two hands it down, but Gibson's there. He's held up in a tackle. As we mentioned earlier, another rookie listed player who's made a good debut for North this year, was averaging 21 possessions a game before today. The bounce 60 metres out from West Coast goal on the Chris Mainwaring wing side of the ground. The tap from Cox. Gaff is always out there, hugging the boundary. Kicks long to Natanui in the pocket, off hands. Good body contact by Scott Thompson. Ensured he couldn't hang on. It'll be a boundary thrown beside the behind post at the Subiaco end, with West Coast 21-17, 1-4-3, 77 points in front of North, 9-12, 66.
Cox down to Shuey, kick smothered on goal by Zeeble. A better game this afternoon. After being quiet the last few weeks, McMillan hand pass away towards Anthony, and Campbell coming out of defence. Got dropped by Petrie, half forward, picked up by Lynch, hand pass away to Kerr. He goes for goal, and he goes all the way. Add his name to the list, Daniel Kerr. The West Coast Eagles have kicked 22-17, 1-4-9. North Melbourne 9-12-66. It has been all the Eagles at home. 25 and a half minutes into the final term.
I can only think Campbell then was under pressure, and he's just tried to chip it over. And realistically, it should have been Swallow that took the mark, and I reckon Petrie's called him out. And then Petrie didn't offer a shot and hit on the full straight in front. LBW he would have been right half up his shin.
Misunderstanding.
Well, he should have called Swallow in.
Yeah,
Swallow, he could protect Swallow. Swallow could have marked it.
Yep,
mate,
you're right.
The only reason he stopped, because it wasn't courage, it was because he got called out, Swallow,
Exactly.
I reckon.
What a shellacking this has been. Cox another tap, another clearance for Pritters. Shrugs the tackle, handball to Cox and to Shuey and to Kerr. Good hands in short. Brilliant footy, West Coast. Josh Hill on the end of it. Marking just left of centre half forward. He gets the hand pass off to Lynch. He'll kick long. He's 70 metres out. He'll kick magnificently. Oh, he went for the barrel, the cue stick. He's got 3 and he connected. They'll win by 100 now. 23-17, 1-5-5. North Melbourne is stuck on 9-12-66. 8 goals to 1 in the final quarter.
Brad's got to be filthy, I reckon. They waved the flag a bit in the third quarter, and they must have put it away at three-quarter time, because they have done nothing in the last quarter at all. As I said, this is like a training run now for West Coast. We've got a group of blokes running around with the other jumpers on, and just putting token pressure on. Boys, I want you to move the ball up and down the ground in any manner you like, but you other blokes just put a bit of token pressure on, because that's all North are offering at the moment, is token pressure.
4 blokes, North Melbourne blokes, stood and watched that. Yeah. Not one found any energy to do something about it.
Cox won it down to Pritters. Goes to the outer wing, all alone again. Just a procession from the Eagles. Lynch inside 50. Bouncing footy. Right, fumbled it, went out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. 30 out from the Eagles' goal.
I reckon Brad's got to be sitting there saying, for God's sake, wing the siren.
Yeah,
just save the embarrassment.
Yep.
10 minutes to go in the NRL elimination final. Canberra 26, lead Cronulla 16 from the throw in. Hembley had hands on it. Falls down towards Swallow. Kicks out of the defensive 50. Brennan tapping it towards the boundary line. Him and Anthony both happy to see it go over. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for West Coast. They lead by 89 points.
Yesterday, boys, I kept saying to my co-commentators in Adelaide, just roll the tape every time Josh Kennedy got it. Down to Kennedy, down to Kennedy. It's like Cox down to Pritis. Do the same today.
Yeah, they've
repetitious.
Been great.
Cox with the free kick from the ruck contest. On the outer side, he doesn't quite find the target of McGinnity, who did lead very wide, to be fair to Cox, and it goes out of bounds at half forward. Been good as that pressure forward, Patrick McGinnity. 55 out. Goldstein. Cox another tap. Marston receiving this time. Gets the hands free from the tackle. Try to handball to Lynch. Back to Marston, who's flipped over towards Embley. Stand start kick inside 50. Natanui from a long way back. Crashed the pack. McGinnity there couldn't track it. Natanui does well to hold up Thompson, but he's shoved him in the back. Scott Thompson with the free kick, 25 metres out from his defensive goal square. The lead, 89 points for West Coast.
Yeah, well, the concern is 58 hitouts they've won, Natanui and Cox between the two of them. 38 to Cox, 20 to Natanui.
Oh, no. Thompson short to right. Hand pass picked up by Kennedy and just makes him pay. Kennedy kicks his fourth. Shimbo the Spirit nowhere to be seen today. The West Coast Eagles 24-17, 161. North Melbourne 9-12-66. It is now 95 points. Ken Judge, David Parkin.
Yeah, just getting back to it. So 38 hitouts Cox has won. Natanui's won 20. We go to the other side of the tape. Goldstein 23, and his other two support acts, Petrie and Hansen, have had 3 between them. So 26 to 58. They've absolutely annihilated them, something we spoke about before the game.
Yeah.
And it's been effective. They've actually put it down players' throats. They haven't just won the contest.
No, they've taken the way. You take the centre bounce clearances have been, clearances full stop have been totally and utterly in West Coast favour.
It's the Eagles' biggest score ever in a final, beating their effort in the 94 grand final against Geelong.
They're on target for a 10-goal quarter here. Swallow out of the middle this time, but Hearn cuts it off. Their defenders have been wonderful. Handball to Glass. Kicks close to the boundary on the northern side. Good call by Marston. Shuey was told to leave it, and he did. Marston shaping the handball over the top. Goes inside now to Shuey. Shuey measuring kick inside 50. Kennedy getting on his bike. Over the head of Bastanak. Here's Kerr on the left. Wobbles around the body. No one home, but didn't get enough connection. Headed left the whole way. Lead 96. Can they win by 100? 24-18, 162, 9-12, 66.
I'm a bit in agreement with David. I don't know whether you want to win as easy as this.
It's like being at the Coliseum, I guess.
It's like a live kill, isn't it?
It is like kill, yeah.
Right goes long out towards half-back. The Mexican wave is going around Subiaco Oval. 41,790 strong in today. The Eagles have won the footy on the outer wing. Gaff goes inboard to Butler. He drops the mark. Almost picked up by Thomas. Still having some trouble getting hold of it. He's gang tackled now. Taken high. In fact, the free kick to Thomas.
First mistake for mine Butler's made all day.
He's been good, Butler.
He has. Thomas.
Tell me who hasn't been good for West Coast.
Kicks inside. Glass should have taken the mark in front of the Mexican wave. In the end, decides to spoil it over the boundary on that outer side. Well populated, full of blue and gold. About to win another final, and they'll continue on next week. Cox the tap. The road by Zeeble of North Melbourne inside 50. Lynch running with the flight. Good defensive mark on the last line of defence. Very noisy, the Coliseum now. In short to Kerr. Kerr's at half-back. He'll switch plays. Had a great year, Kerr. Hearn takes the mark. Played every game this year, Hearn, as has Kerr. Goes wide now to Wembley, who's been sensational. Pops over the top on the northern side. Still at half-back to Butler. Butler now in the direction of Schofield. Solid as usual. And he's marking back edge centre square.
Goes to Lynch at centre half-back. Lynch to the outer wing. Getting back is Adam Selwood. Had a hand on it. Boundary line nearby. The ball out of bounds. We'll have a throw-in. 24-18, 162. West Coast lead North 9-12-66. From the throw-in, Lynch down to Shuey. And the Eagles will meet Collingwood next Saturday night in the semi-final. The Roos have been absolutely whacked out west. 96 points as the Eagles have kicked their best ever score in a final. 24-18, 162. North Melbourne 9-12-66. The West Coast Eagles at home by 96 points.
We're the Eagles, the West Coast Eagles, and we're here to show you why. We're the big birds, kids of the big game. We're the Eagles, we're flying high.
13 goal kickers for the Eagles today. 4 to Kennedy, 4 to Darling, 4 to Embley. Singles to Kerr, Marston, Natanui, Shuey, McKenzie, Cox, Hearn, Hill and McGinnity. Meanwhile for North Melbourne, 3 to Harvey, 3 to Campbell, and then singles to Hanson, Cunnington and Drew Petrie. The West Coast Eagles 24-18. They've beaten North Melbourne 9-12. A 96-point win. They'll meet Collingwood next Saturday night at the G. $41,790 watched it unfold at Subiaco Oval, the West Coast Eagles in their only final at home of the 2012 campaign. They'll have to do it on the road from here in a couple of 6-day breaks if they can make it to the big dance. First up, Collingwood next week on Saturday night. A hot day here in Perth today, some 28 degrees. They'll go and play the Pies, who would have had an 8-day break by the time next Saturday night rolls around. And Adelaide will play Fremantle in the other semi on Friday night. Direct entry to the prelim for Sydney and the Hawks. West Coast kicked 9 goals to 1 in that final term after North put on 6 goals to 4 in that third quarter. And West Coast just absolutely whacked the Roos in the finish by 96 points. 24-18, 162. North Melbourne 9-12-66. We've got 35 minutes to go before we're off air at 6:30 Eastern, 4:30 our time over here in the West. Ken Judge and David Parkin will ask you plenty about this game, I'm sure, before we're off air in about 35 minutes' time. But your initial thoughts before we head into the West Coast rooms?
Oh, well, look, I was disappointed for North in the end. Look, I thought they showed a bit of spirit in the third quarter. I thought, well, at least they might make this a contest at the end. They were ordinary in the last quarter. They were terrible. For a side that has shown some spirit, they showed very little of it in the last quarter. And look, West Coast in the last quarter had 25 inside 50s to 11. For North. I mean, unbelievable. It was a training run in the end. I mean, it was a real soft training run for West Coast in the last quarter. They've just obliterated them. They had 13 goals kickers, West Coast, so they shared the load there. I just can't help but think that satisfaction of North actually qualifying for the finals 3 weeks ago was their downfall. You know, we might have got a more spirited effort if they had to go to the last round of the year to make the finals. When they made it 3 weeks ago, you'd have to say it's a poor finish to the season from David, because what they displayed in those 9 wins out of 10 games to get into the finals, and just they didn't show in the last 3 weeks. And that was the time when they'd done the work to get there, and they didn't offer up. They just didn't offer it up in the last 3 weeks of the season for mine.
We can imagine. I came with a plane load of people yesterday. They were so excited about the potential they had to compete. They almost conceded in conversation that it wasn't going to happen, but they're going to be very proud of their players for having got here and competed well. Well, other than Thompson down back, who in the finish did an incredible job. Cunnington, who got a lot of the ball around the midfield. Swallow was almost in the best 3 or 4 players on the ground. And Zeeble is a fantastic trier, but he ran at 57% today, under 60% with his hands and feet. He just gets it, grabs it, hits it or kicks it, and most of the time it puts his teammate in a vulnerable position, or it goes directly to the opposition. So you could say 4 players in a sense competed well, held their end up, and a further 18 contributed significantly below themselves. And I think the only question that West Coast will say, well, Waters has gone apparently. Is it Brennan? And I would have thought Brennan didn't do enough to suggest he's the right placement. He might be. And Darling is the only other question mark at all that I found who was probably struggling with that leg, and that might be one question mark. Everything else that they planned for and executed happened.
Dave Lindsay is in the West Coast Eagles rooms.
Yeah, the boys are just gathering at the moment. Pretty excited in here just now as the players have made their way into the room, and we're not far away from the song.
Points. The margin in the finish, 24-18, 162 over North Melbourne, 9-12-66. And it all picks up again for West Coast now. A 6-day break before Collingwood at the MCG on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, well, David just talked a bit about the North fellas, and I agree with him. Perhaps the only other fellas you might have got to mention were Campbell, who kicked 3 goals, and perhaps Harvey, who kicked 3. But having said that, Harvey sort of got his... Harvey kicked two in the second half, and but I mean they didn't get many opportunities. So I'm just suggesting maybe you could say, well, look, they were okay,
Well, he's had 13 possessions for a day, Ken. I mean, and he's one of the great. Look, he's getting down the end of the pathway, and a lot's expected of him. He would classify that as a D-grade performance. He would, despite the fact he kicked a couple of unpressured goals, but in making the play happen and being able to carry and use it and setting his front half up, did 0 in my opinion.
But so if you go across the wheel, I mean, look, you go down the list. As you said, I can't find many bad players. I mean, I thought Glass was very, very good for them down back. I mean, any time North went forward and showed any chance of attacking, he was cutting it off. So he was cutting off the supply. So he was good. Adam Selwood was okay. Hearn was very good. His kicking's just fantastic. Hearn needs some attention. You can't just let Hearn run around and do his own thing, because he cuts you up with his foot skills over distance. And with effectiveness. So
and the good sides, just take your head in mind, the good sides have done that.
Yeah, that's
They've
right.
run a defensive player on him.
Yep. This is where Collingwood boys need Goldsack back next week, as he plays that role, doesn't he?
Yeah. And so then you look at the midfield of Kerr and with 28, Prittis with 29, Marston up with 25. I mean, they were all good. Lynch filled his boots in the end and kicked a couple late in the game. I mean, Darling was good. I just have a concern that he showed serious interest in his left hamstring from halfway through the third quarter. And I just wonder. I don't know whether it's possibly only just a cramp, as we keep saying, but often the cramp is a precursor to a bit of a strain, and he definitely wasn't right after he grabbed his leg at one stage. McGinnity battled hard for them. Embley was good. Embley's actually coming back into some form after coming back from the injuries. Kennedy also kicked 4 goals, so they'd be happy with that return. Nat Nui competes very well for them, of course, as we know. Cox, 16 possessions, 39 hit-outs. Is a fantastic return. And a goal. Scott Selwood, 28 possessions in the midfield. Shuey was good. Gaff was good. Butler was very good.
I like him. He's got under my guard a bit. He was very proficient whenever it was required.
And Hill, whilst he probably faded a bit, I thought he showed enough with a couple of really strong contested marks earlier in the game to indicate that he's perhaps in a bit better form than he's been in recent times. And Brennan, I just have a bit of a worry about Brennan. I think if you look at his stats, effectiveness, etc., they've said 78, saying 78%, but some of his decisions he makes and some of his executions at times under pressure leave a bit to be desired.
So Waters is going to go out.
You think absolute certainty
could be in trouble. Who would come in?
Well, that's the question. I mean, the guys they left out this week were Strike, who's quite a skilled and talented player. But
could play at halfback, couldn't he?
Hams is a chance. Mind you, he plays more forward, doesn't he?
Yep.
So Hams or Strike are blokes that can play probably centre forward for him to come into the team if that was the case.
And Dalzill's a midfielder.
Dalzill's a midfielder, running and linking player. Look, I'm just trying to think who else they might have. I mean, you're not probably going to go a taller option like Brown, who tends to play on bigger players, whereas Waters is a mid-sized player. So, look, it's not easy to replace him. Waters particularly is not going to be easy to replace. So,
Matt Rose, there's no chance, Ken, is he? Is he gone for the year?
He did train last week.
Right.
So, and there was some talk because he trained, he might be okay, but I'm not quite sure that he will, but again, he's only a midfielder. He's not going to play half back for you. He's going to play more through the midfield. What they might need to do is they might have to push Embley back to half back and play him off half back. That would be the most obvious thing to me. I mean, he can play off half back, and he might have to be the bloke that goes back to take that role that Waters has, you know. So
except that, I mean, when the game had to be won early, he was the one running through and actually kicked the goals. He set them alight early. He really was a very effective player. Can I ask a question then? As you finish that the last quarter, I mean, I guess as a coach we would have been happy to take what happened, or would you have liked a little bit more of a contest? This bad habit thing.
We'll come back to that, David and Ken, because we've might just crossed down to the West Coast Eagles rooms. Dave Lindsay is there.
Thanks, Corbin. And Daniel Kerr's been good enough to join us this afternoon after a fantastic victory. And I imagine most of the boxes were ticked there today, Daniel. It was a comprehensive four-quarter performance.
Yeah, it was. It was a good performance by the boys. We probably didn't play as well clearance-wise in the third quarter as we'd like, but other than that, it was a reasonably complete performance.
And just looking at the boys, they're obviously very excited with a big win, but there's a lot of red faces out there. It was a pretty hot day. How's the body feel? Does it feel any different today, coming off finals game and temperatures close to 30 degrees?
We do a lot of pre-season, in the 35-plus degrees, so as much as we're not acclimatised at the minute, that training that we do in the heat earlier on in the year, I think, held us in good stead. And there'll be a lot of sunburnt boys, but I think they're pretty used to training in those conditions and playing in those as well.
Now, Daniel's got the headphones on, boys, so far away.
Daniel, Ken Judge here, mate. Well done. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Judgy.
Now, mate, you'd be very happy with your own season, buddy, because you'll be able to stand up this year. You've had a lot of problem with injury in recent years, and this year you've now strung together 23 games. So, the body must be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's the first time in my career that I've been able to play every game in the season. The body, as much as the hamstring set me out for a year, it did give a lot of other injuries that I was carrying throughout the 2005, 2006, 2007. It gave time for those injuries to recover as well. So the body's feeling as good as it has since probably 2007, when I probably had my best year at the footy club.
And mate, Beau Waters hurt a foot, it appeared today. Is there any feedback yet? Has he come back from the hospital? Has he been for an X-ray? Is there any sort of update on how he is?
Look, I'm not sure. It didn't look great out in the ground, but we've just gone straight into the meeting with Woosh, and I haven't had a chance to see him, but I assume he'd be back at the club by now, and I'll have a chat with him after this.
Daniel, David Park, can I ask you the obvious one? You're coming off a big day in terms of temperature. I'm not sure how your body is after a contest which became almost a non-contest. The 6 days versus 8 days, I mean, how do you think about that? How do you deal with that? Is it a reality or doesn't really matter?
Oh, look, we'll deal with it by probably not training as much as we did last week and doing a lot more recovery sessions than we did last week. We had a fair week on the track because we had an 8-day break, and this week we'll probably taper that training right off and just have a recovery focus.
What does that mean? So that means recovery through to what? You'll have one...
That means we'll probably have a walk jog tomorrow, and then we'll have our main session, which normally is about 45-50 minutes of actual drills.
Yes.
We'll probably taper that back to 20 minutes, so it'll be 10-minute warm-up, 10-minute drills, and then straight back into...
That'll be on Wednesday?
On Saturday night, so that will be Wednesday. Then we'll have a warm-up Friday before the game, and then into it.
Yep.
Daniel, when do you actually notice the effects of the 6-day break? Is it obviously that week leading into it, or is it not until a couple of weeks afterwards, or I guess the next week when you have to back up and do it again regularly?
Mate, to be honest, the boys prefer the 6-day breaks because we don't have to train, so we don't get sore from training. So we actually pull up better from 6-day breaks than we do the 8-day breaks, because we do get trained pretty hard during the week in the 8-day breaks.
Bush is not listening to this interview, is he?
I hope he is.
Daniel, the sharing of the load was probably the key today. Everyone did their bit.
Yeah, that's the way you win finals football. You can't have 3 or 4 guys carrying the load. I think everyone contributed today. I think the majority of our players would have won their position, and that's why we probably won by the margin that we did. You can't win by that much when you have 3 or 4 guys starring and a few guys having the day off.
And Daniel, the dominance of Natanui and Cox in the hitouts, they actually won 59 hitouts compared to the main opposition was Goldstein, obviously, with 24. So that's a pretty dominant display, and there's no doubt you guys benefit from that at ground level.
Yeah, we benefited from it hugely, and we benefited from when we played Collingwood last time. They played without Jolly. I think Jolly was injured, so he'll be back in the team this week. Well, he's in the team, so I think that normally gets halved against Jolly. So we're looking for a more of a interrupted ball use from the midfield probably next week.
Odd week weather-wise in Perth. Your mate Nick Natanui was on the front page of the paper holding some hail on Wednesday. 28 degrees, 30 degrees out here today. Did you notice, was the heat noticeable, I guess, today?
Yeah, the heat was noticeable today. I actually went down the beach and had a swim this morning, and I haven't felt like doing that for a while, so it was nice. It was an actual nice weather change, and it made the lead up to the game pretty nice.
Daniel, you may be aware Jeff Christian is a valued member of our Sports Talk team, and he was for 14 years prior to his death in 1998. He was the chief footy writer at the West. There was a medal that was struck in his honour for the leading AFL player with either West Coast or Fremantle each season, cast on a 3-2-1 basis by our ABC radio experts throughout the home and away season. 9 Dockers and 5 Eagles have won it. Eagles have won it for the past couple of years through Beau Waters and then Matt Prittis last year. You've won it once previously before in 2007, and we're pleased to announce that you are the winner of our award for season 2012. It's the best Docker or Eagle throughout the home and away season. So our heartiest congratulations on behalf of the ABC team. It's been a joy to watch you play throughout season 2012.
Thanks very much, guys. Jeff was also a number 1 ticket holder at the footy club, so he's a legend.
Good luck for the rest of your finals campaign.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
Daniel Kerr down in the rooms, and you hear the siren going off in the background. A few of the fans allowed to have a kick on the oval, and Daniel Kerr, Judgy, the winner of the Christian Medal for 2012.
Oh, look, he's had a great year. I mean, look, I really admire him. We drafted him when I was there, and I played him. He played his first league game under me, etc. And look, even back in those days, I remember we went to play at Carlton one day at Princess Park, and Dean Kemp had to pull out before the game. Well, we lost a couple of our senior players. In the second year, we had a lot of senior players that didn't play much. But and so I said to him, I'm going to play in the centre. I'm going to play on Brett Ratton, and I think I loved Ratts, obviously David from our association. He just said fantastic. Just loved it. Like it was like, give it to me.
He did all right too.
Yeah. No, just give me a go. I'm wrapped. I'm absolutely ecstatic to be able to play on a bloke like him. So that was the start of his footy career. So to have now played 200 games. Look, there's no doubt in my mind the way he's played's been the reason why he's broken down a bit, because he knows no fear. He attacks the ball ferociously, puts his body on the line continually, and when you're that size, somewhere along the line something's got to break. And this year, fortunately, it stayed together for him, because it's fair to say that I think a year or two ago there was some suggestion maybe that he was a tradable player because he wasn't able to stand up for the whole season. So to be getting further on in your career and actually have a season where, as he said, he's played 23 games is a great return, and he deserved to win the Jeff Christian Medal.
I think it's fantastic acknowledgement of the way he plays. Again today, he's the number 1 contested possession winner in a side that's won by whatever it is.
So over half his possession, 15 of his 28 were contested.
That's unbelievable. Yep. So the other thing, so he's got a good balance of inside and out. So we continually think he's an inside player, and he is very good at that. But he also gets in the right spots, receives, and a very good connecting player. He always gets value for his possession. I get to go across and look at Swallow and Zeeble have had 18 each in a losing team, which is a fantastic effort to do that particular task. But there's no doubt on the day the most effective player in that role was him.
Yep. Just on the Christian Medal, Daniel Kerr, the winner on 24 votes. 4 votes clear of Matthew Pavlich in the finish with 20. And then further back, Scott Selwood had 17 votes, 14 apiece to David Mundy and Beau Waters. Mundy came home with a wet sail, got best on ground in the last 3 games of the season to finish with 14 votes. Dave Lindsay's making the trek across the ground to the North Melbourne rooms. Hopefully we'll have all the wrap-up for North Melbourne fans on the east coast of the country coming up shortly. In the meantime, Ken Casellas has all the major stats from today's game. Final score, the West Coast Eagles 24-18 have defeated North 9-12 by 96 points. Ken.
Thanks, Corbin. Well, a huge discrepancy in the statistics, with Eagles having 345 disposals, North Melbourne only 283. So 345 to 283 disposals. West Coast took 111 marks, North Melbourne only 59. West Coast had 232 kicks, North Melbourne 175. West Coast 113 effective hand passes, North Melbourne 108. West Coast received 14 free kicks, North Melbourne 20. Centre clearances, it was 19 to 18 in favour of West Coast, with Prittis getting 4 centre clearances, Scott Selwood 3, Luke Shuey 3, Daniel Kerr 3. Centre clearances 18 for North Melbourne, and Jack Zeeble and Andrew Swallow each got 7 centre clearances. So Zeeble and Swallow certainly very effective at centre bounce downs. Into the 50-metre zone, West Coast went in a remarkable 71 times, and they took 16 marks inside 50. North Melbourne went into their 50-metre zone 44 times and they took only 5 marks inside 50. Individually, Andrew Embley, 11 marks, 22 kicks, 2 effective hand passes. Jack Darling, 8 marks, 11 kicks. Dean Cox, 5 marks, 12 kicks, 5 effective hand passes. He made 35 decisive ruck knockouts. Josh Hill, 9 marks, 12 kicks, 1 hand pass. Luke Shuey, 2 marks, 15 kicks, 5 effective hand passes. Andrew Gaff, 4 marks, 15 kicks, 9 effective hand passes. Scott Selwood, 4 marks, 9 kicks, 15 effective hand passes. Jack Darling, 8 marks, 11 kicks. Daniel Kerr, 2 marks, 17 kicks, 10 effective hand passes. Chris Marston, 11 marks, 17 kicks, 7 effective hand passes. Matt Prittis, 5 marks, 9 kicks, 17 effective hand passes. Darren Glass, 8 marks, 12 kicks, 5 effective hand passes. For North Melbourne, Andrew Swallow took 4 marks. He had 18 kicks and he made 13 effective hand passes. Jack Zeeble, 2 marks, 19 kicks, 8 effective hand passes. Scott Thompson deep in defence, 6 marks,